Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Players Take, episode 202. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host, Montrell Rice.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Montrell, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing okay.
Holidays are
So
over.
did you? Yeah. Obviously you heard about the big accident on NFL on the
Yeah.
field.
So I did want to acknowledge that this week. I was going to do that at some point before we got started. I do want to pay our respects to DeMar Hamlin. He's the Buffalo Bills player that got severely injured on Monday night during the game in the first quarter. It looked like a routine tackle, to be honest, like nothing crazy. The receiver, as much as people want to for whatever reason fucking blame him for what happened, like he didn't, spear the guy or anything like that. It was perfectly normal play. But the guy, DeMar Hamlin, like just got up after the play and immediately fell down and stopped breathing on the field, and it was chilling. I'm gonna be fucking honest. Like I've never. There have been moments like that in sports
Yeah.
before where I've seen severe injuries happen, like scary things, but I don't think I've ever seen something where a guy literally might have died, on the field, and that was definitely that was a new experience that I hope never happens again. And I think at this
Yeah.
point in the week, we're late on Thursday. Things have progressed. He is not stable. He's still in critical condition, but he has woken up, and he does recognize the people around him. So, and he is, I believe, at this point, breathing 50% on his own and 50% off a
Nice.
respirator. So, which is much better than it was on Monday. Monday he was not awake and could not breathe at all. He was 100% relying on a respirator. So, um, that is a significant improvement for sure. And it is interesting that there is going to be football this week, though. It seems like the games have not been postponed. The one on Monday obviously was suspended and isn't. We have no idea when it's actually going to be played, but um, yeah, so I personally was kind of hoping the league would kind of kick the week back, like just cancel the games this week,
hmm
to kind of, I don't know, put the focus on this guy and his recovery, but that's not happening. So, I mean, I think it's probably going to be okay, but I don't know. In the moment, I
Yeah.
really felt like they should have just canceled the week.
Yeah. I'm really getting. I don't really like. First of all, like thoughts and prayers to Demar Hamlin. But even that statement, I'm getting tired of that statement. I feel like that's all a lot of people say,
Yeah,
and particularly when I mean people, I mean the league, because there's nothing like we can do. But like the league says that, and it's like you guys can actually do something.
yeah,
And I don't like. I mean, this has always been the huge elephant, or maybe like a quiet bird in the room when it comes to NFL and like contracts and how they pay out players.
yeah,
But when type of thing happens, at least for me, I always think, how is the player going to get paid? How are they going to get affected by this?
right. Which
And
nobody's talking about that right now. But this guy's
exactly,
career is in sincere doubt, I would think, at this point, you know.
exactly,
And I did see a video. I think maybe you had retweeted it. I'm not sure, but somebody was talking about that exact thing, that no one is talking about this. But if he doesn't play again, he's only been in the league for 2 years. He isn't eligible for a pension. He does not get any more of his contract money because none of that is really guaranteed. Um, and he would be done. So he would get no benefits. He would get no health benefits in the future. Um, and yeah, it's that would be very, very ugly, in my
yeah,
opinion, if that's how it plays out. But even if the NFL were to make a change in this unique case, like in this specific case, make an exception,
yeah,
I still don't know. I mean,
yeah.
sure,
What
that would
about
look
future
good.
players?
That would look good,
Yeah,
but
like
yeah, but what about everyone else, right?
yeah.
Yeah, because guys get
So,
guys get injured all the time in the NFL, and careers
mhm.
in the NFL are average career in the NFL is under 3 years. So,
Yeah,
That is like the guys you see play for 10, 15 years or even 5 to 10 years, those are the exceptions for sure.
Yeah,
Most
yeah.
players don't play anywhere near that long.
And I mean, we already know like the NFL is like $1 billion franchise, so it's like I don't know. I feel like some of these players can get compensated for that. Obviously, I mean, there may be. I'll be the conservative type guy and say like there may be cracks or people who may take advantage of the system, but it's like yeah, that may happen or whatever. But at the end of the day, like these players do put their lives on the line, literally, for us to enjoy this entertainment. And it don't get me wrong, this is entertainment. So that's why I was kind of thrown back like you were when the NFL decided to continue games this week because
Yeah.
this is not like a catastrophic. I mean, the NFL is not a catastrophic event that needs to be
No, they could
done,
push the league
right?
back a month and who really cares? It
Yeah,
wouldn't affect
yeah,
anything. It wouldn't even really
exactly,
affect them. Like,
exactly,
okay, yeah, you maybe would push the combine back and like free agency back a few weeks, but like who fucking cares, you know? Like it's
exactly.
not that big of a deal, you know?
Yeah, and I know like old bets and fantasy teams and all that stuff, fantasy football rather, will be affected, but it's like who cares? Like all of this is a game at the end
Yeah.
of the day,
Right.
So
And that money, I mean, it would either be refunded or you would still have the bets and they would play out later, you know? So
exactly,
it's not like you're losing anything. Um, so
exactly.
so
So
I think that I mean it's those things to me are irrelevant in this situation. Like this guy's health is way more important, obviously, and
yeah,
I do think the reporting this week has been pretty strong for the most part around this.
yeah, yep,
But
I agree.
yeah,
I
but
I think a lot of people are looking at this in really good angles.
yeah.
I'm glad a lot of people bring that up. I'm glad a lot of people are bringing up the fact that because I didn't even know that the NFL wanted to continue playing the game. So I
Yeah, that one,
yeah
I'm gonna be honest, that one I feel is a little unfair actually
mhm,
because um I like the let's say that decision was even made because I actually think that's in question. I'm not sure anybody actually was saying to play the
okay,
game because the broadcast said that the teams had 5 minutes to warm up, but then the NFL later said was like we didn't tell anybody that, you know.
okay,
So and of course the NFL could be just covering their own ass there, but um, whether they are or not, I think isn't relevant because even if they did say you have 5 minutes to warm up, it's very possible that they were getting information that wasn't, you know, fully accurate
yeah,
or painted the picture in an appropriate way where they, because I mean, think about it, guys get hurt all the time, dude. Like we've seen ambulances come on the field and take guys out and then the game just continues, you know?
yeah,
Like, so
yep,
that happens. Like that happens at almost every season. This was different, and I think conveying that, you know, in that moment might not have been as simple as you would think, you know.
yeah,
So that one, I don't have that big of an issue with it. They made the right decision in the end. They canceled the game, suspended the game, and you know, I think the right decisions were made there. I think it's just kind of what's happening since that I do question because while things have improved for DeMar Hamlin, he is not out of the woods, you know.
yeah, exactly,
So, and I think
yeah,
I honestly think it is very much unfair to make the Bills play a football game this week. Um, given that, because that is their teammate, and you could see their reactions on Monday. Those guys were fucking devastated. Like I, I, I think they were like in total fear, you know, at that moment. You know, they weren't even thinking about the game. You know, probably most of them.
both
So
sides wasn't like you can tell
right,
both once both sides figured out what was going on or the other side figured out what was going on, like they didn't even want to play either. So I feel like everybody,
yeah,
I don't know, it was an appropriate response from everybody. Um, I did see some people have some weird takes on the subject matter, uh,
yeah.
which I didn't necessarily have a problem with what was said.
Are you talking about
I
Skip?
had a problem, yeah,
Skip
I had a
Bayless?
problem. Yep, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I had a problem, and it's just been on my mind, because like somebody actually got into it with me about it, like you know, offline and stuff, and my whole thing was with the Skip Bayless thing was like I didn't actually mind what he said.
yeah,
It was just the timing of which something was said, right? Like, let's say a family member dies, an important family member dies, but
Yeah.
that important family member is also, you know, rich beyond belief, and we all live in the same house as this family member and stuff like that, and we provide money from this family member. This is just an example, y'all. The family member dies, and we all obviously care about that family member, and we're like, and one of us is like, well, what about the money? What's going to happen with the money? And the family member just died like 5 minutes ago, and we're like,
Yeah.
really? You're going to ask us about the money for right now? Who's going to pay the bills? Our family member just died. So that's kind of how I feel about this situation. It was just very insensitive at the moment. What he said wasn't
Yeah.
bad. It was just the timing was like severely off for me.
Yeah.
I was just like, that was just completely inhumane in my opinion. Um and it was just weird that people were defending it. But usually I talk to you about stuff, and you can bring me down to speed, or you can bring me down
Yeah.
or amp me up. I don't know. You can give me a
Yeah.
little more level headed opinion on it. So I wanted your opinion on it.
Yeah. So let me skip Bayless, right? Let's talk about him for a second. So I hate this guy. I've always hated this guy. I think this guy is a piece of shit. I've never liked him. I think he's literally the most it's so transparent what he's trying to do, right? He's just a hot take guy. Like he's that dude in the NFL sphere, in the sports sphere. Like he just spews out a hot take. It's like a he's like a shittier version of Stephen A. Smith, right? Stephen A.
Yeah.
is like I actually don't mind Stephen A. He's the same kind of person, and they used to be on a show together for years.
Yeah.
First take,
Yep.
and that shit was hilarious. Them as a pairing was actually very entertaining. But the thing is, they do the same thing, but they do it in different ways. Skip is like he's always looking for clicks, right? He's trying to stir up the hornet's nest. That's what he does, right? I don't think Stephen A is trying to do that a lot of the time, except when he's on his show. When he's tweeting most of the time, he's just like he's like innocuous stuff. He's not like trying to do. But Skip, on the other hand, I feel like everything he does is calculated to try to piss everybody off. And I think it's probably hard for him to separate that energy from a situation like this where this is actually really serious because like you said, when I read the tweet the first time, um like it's not really that bad. However, because he kind of saves it at the end, right? He indicates that everything that about like scheduling and all that is must feels irrelevant at this point given what's going on.
Yeah.
But I I I want to compare this to like Scott Van Pelt, right? So ESPN was covering the game. Obviously, the game was on ESPN, and ESPN's initial coverage was questionable at best. I would say, like in the moment,
Yeah.
because one of the hosts, Susie Colbert, they went back to the studio, after a while because they didn't want to leave Troy and Joe on an island, talking about this. So Susie kept fucking trying to make it about football, the whole time, and Booger and Adam Schefter just like fucking like continuously repeating that this isn't about football. That is irrelevant right now. Nobody cares about football. We care about this kid's life, right? Like that is what matters in this moment. She kept fucking hammering that home, right? And it ultimately to the point that it was like almost tasteless, like or it was tasteless. And she just couldn't get it. So later
Yeah.
on, after the game was suspended and they moved on to Sports Center, Scott Van Pelt is the host for a huge block of time there for them that evening, and he handled it way more deftly. But there were people comparing him to Skip, and he at a certain point in the Sports Center broadcast, he does talk about with one of the guests that was on about the scheduling ramifications of what happened here that night. And I don't think that topic was necessarily off limits, right? It's just,
Yeah.
this is where the comparison falls apart to me is that Scott did that hours after beginning to talk about and spending a lot of time
Hmm.
giving the situation the room it needed to be covered in an appropriate way. And then eventually, once that is kind of exhausted, right? After 2 or 3 hours, like how long can you talk about that realistically?
Yeah.
he moved on to the more practical side of things, and it's okay to do that. The problem is Skip did it on Twitter, where it's just a tweet. There's no like you're not giving the situation room to breathe when you're tweeting because Twitter has no nuance whatsoever. So when you do that, I don't really like. It didn't really matter how he was going to phrase it. The second he brings up scheduling, that's the tweet, you know, and especially when he front loads the tweet like that, right? The end of the tweet is where he like brings it back to this doesn't matter,
Yeah.
where he should have probably started that way, but he's Skip Bayless, so he doesn't do that. So I think in a vacuum, it wasn't that bad, but given who he is, I don't really feel bad for the dude. This is his karma coming back on him. It is what it is. The funny thing is, as much as this situation sucks, like fucking like him and this is where him and his show, I can never tell if this shit is real or not because Shannon Sharp, his co-host on their show, fucking
Yeah.
what is it called? I don't remember what it's called.
Undisputed.
Undisputed. That's right. Yeah, Shannon doesn't show up for the next day for the entire show, like the day after the game. And Shannon has a very like personal experience with situations like this because his brother, I think, or cousin, played in the NFL, and he like literally saw him get paralyzed during a game. So that this situation hit home for him probably in a very real way. But this is the problem with their show is it's really hard for that to come through when the two of them are like most of the time are like clowns, like
Yeah.
screaming at each other. And when he comes back the next day, I start seeing these video clips of him going at Skip and it looks real, right? Like he's pissed off. He's like, Skip, I can't even get through a monologue without you fucking interrupting me, dude. Like, and he's like, we need to restart. I need to restart. And then it's hard to take it seriously though given what the matter of the show normally is. So it's I
Yeah.
don't know. That's like the corner they've painted themselves into, and Skip is a big part of that, obviously. So I mean, that's kind of what it is. I mean, to me, he shouldn't have tweeted what he tweeted in the way he tweeted it. Um, but he did, and it's like cosmic karma for him.
Yeah. I
So
so I wouldn't have mind if the tweet came out hours later. My problem was
it was in the
it hap
moment.
it happened and then literally like 10 minutes later Skip
It's in the
tweeted
moment.
that.
Yeah, dude. Right.
Yeah.
You're right. That's my
And
point about Scott, right? Scott is doing this hours after the fact, right?
yeah, yeah.
DeMar's in the hospital. He's like critical, but he's, fighting. It's like we had some more information at that point. Skip is tweeting this out when they're literally doing CPR to the dude on the field, you know? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, that was just my whole thing. Like I actually didn't mind what Skip said because I mean it's a valid topic to bring up in this situation.
Yeah.
It's just the timing was wrong, and no one was understanding that. Even with it, even without, I don't even think nuance of Twitter is the is a factor in this, in my opinion. I just think it's timing.
Yeah.
Timing,
Yeah.
whether we're talking on the street, whether we're talking in person, or it's a live show, or it's a tweet,
Yeah.
it was just the timing. Like if somebody's getting resuscitated on the field, you don't say like, "Well, what about the schedule?" And it's like,
Yeah.
"Bro, what? Like this dude's not even out on the
Like,
stretcher
oh,
yet."
you're like
Like
looking at your watch, like, oh, this is taking up a lot of time right now, man. Are we gonna be able to finish
exactly,
this game tonight? Like,
exactly. It just
right,
felt very inhumane.
right.
Um, so I mean, I hope he got checked by that, but I mean, it's Skip Bayless, so he probably doesn't give a fuck.
No, I don't think he
Uh,
gives a fuck at all.
but like that was just my take on it. Like I didn't have anything. I wasn't trying to be a virtue signaler or anything like that. I just thought it was really fucking out of whack. But yeah.
No,
But
totally.
yeah,
I agree.
I'm not gonna harp on it. I'm glad like that didn't take away from the overall narrative of Damar Hamlin. So I hope he gets better. I did read a recent report that he woke up and he spoke and said what
Yeah, that,
happened
that was
to the
last night.
game. Yeah, um so yeah, so I mean hopefully he gets better. Like you said. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, because I think the thing is when Demar is like good and like stable and
Mhm.
safe, that's where the conversation about what do they do about the game becomes obviously the centerpiece of the whole
Yeah.
all the coverage, right? Which is kind of the that's the point with Skip, right? Like, dude, just wait. You'll have your chance to discuss the shit out of this.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like it's gonna happen, right? Like the thing is, because like you were saying early on, is the NFL to us like they could just delay the season by 2 or 3 weeks and it would be fine, but the NFL doesn't look at it that way. So they're probably the fact that like to me like on Tuesday Wednesday that's when I started thinking about it a little bit harder, and I was like, man, what do you do as the NFL? Because to me,
Yeah.
I think they fucked this up now because they had an opportunity to cancel the week, right? Let the week play out, see where DeMar is on Friday. You know, tell the Bills and the Bengals, hey, if things improve to a point where we think he's going to be okay, then you guys are going to play your game maybe on Monday, this next week. And then um, the rest of the games, week 18, would take place the following week, you know. So you'd have
Yeah.
everybody on the NFL would basically get that week off. I know that isn't fair necessarily to the Bills and Bengals, but given the situation, there's no way to make this fair for those two teams. Because now what's going to happen is week 18 is going to be played, and you have a Bills and Bengals game that's just sitting out there where you have to schedule that somewhere. So what do you do? Because those are both playoff teams, and they
Yeah.
are going to be that game may determine the first overall seed in the AFC, which is like huge for them. So then what do? Like you can't schedule it on a Thursday and then make them play Sunday. Like you can't do that. So you kind of have to give them a full week. Like there's going to be a
Yep.
week where everything's pushed back. Like I think that's unavoidable, to be totally honest. You can't
Yeah.
cancel the game. If it was a more irrelevant game, between two teams that were totally not in it and didn't matter that much, just void it and like give them ties or something. But you can't do that here. So I don't know. Like that's the stupid part about Skip is like there's a really interesting discussion there. It's just you didn't need to tweet it at 8:30 when DeMar Hamlin's still on the field getting fucking CPR. Like,
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
that's so.
Yeah. So yeah.
But all right, we are a video game podcast, so let's move
Not
on
a
to the video
sports
games.
podcast, but we do like sports, y'all.
We do like sports. I think we could do a sports podcast. I totally could. I don't watch enough sports anymore to like be like super
I,
in depth with it, but
yeah, I refuse to give cable and like satellite my fucking money. So
yeah, same. Totally. I'm totally, yes, 100%, dude. I haven't had cable for football for 10 years. So, yeah, which I'm never doing that again. So, but, all right, let's get into the show proper. So, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games. What am I saying? Video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. All the sports talk got me all fucking jumbled. Sometimes we talk about sports too. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And all right, Montrell, last week we looked forward to 2023. This week, we are going to look back towards 2022 and talk about our games, basically our games of the year, quote unquote, but really it's games we enjoyed for the year.
Yep.
Everything we played, not everything we played, but everything that we enjoyed. We both have our lists here. Doesn't necessarily have to be games that came out in 2022, but they needed to be played within the calendar year of 2022. So that's the exercise today, and then we will be back to normal run of show next week where we go through news and everything else like we normally do what we've been playing and everything. And there's already some news stories building up for that episode, so that'll probably be a
Yep.
meaty one. But let's get into it, Montreal. So how do you want to do this? You want to go back and forth?
Yeah, because I don't think we have anything overlapping except for like maybe 2 games I see in our list, 2 or 3 games.
3, maybe 4, 5, 6. I see 6 overlapping, but that's
Okay.
actually surprising because we both have about 15 games, so 10 to
Yeah.
15 games. So, yeah, we can just go back and forth. You seem to have the bigger list, so do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Well, you know what? I'll just like go through some of the stuff I I I touched on a little bit. So I touched on Bayonetta 3, so I'm not really gonna get too much into that because I only got like 6 hours into that game. Um, I'm not really done with Sonic Frontiers yet, so to give my overall opinions on it, but I'm at the last island, so I can give a little bit of opinions. It's definitely like a 6 or a 7. I like the direction they're going in with it. Uh, I'm regret not buying this game on PC for Sonic Frontiers.
Huh.
Um,
Interesting. Why is that?
uh,
Performance?
because there's an interesting mod that turns the that makes everything. It has like a movement based. It actually changes the engine a little bit, and it's more momentum based rather than boost. So it's hard to explain unless you play the game, but sometimes Sonic comes to a dead stop when you just put the controller down and he's running, he can just come to a dead stop.
Interesting.
Um, he doesn't really have momentum like that. So when they added the momentum, he can actually go fast down hills and everything without boosting. And he can use the boost to give him extra momentum, but he will still keep that momentum going up hills, going down hills, and everything like that. Like just like a regular thing or whatever. So I saw that and I was like, wow, that really improved the game when I saw somebody playing it. And then I actually like I already bought the game, so I can say this. I actually pirated the game on a PC, and I just download just for that mod purpose or whatever. And I played it, and I was like, "Oh shit! Like I should actually play this shit on PC or whatever."
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, but I definitely can see this game. A lot of people didn't like this game, and a lot of people did like this game. It's going to be one of those games that's really decisive, unfortunately, or divisive rather, not decisive, but
Decisive.
divisive. Um,
Yeah.
and I understand why. Now that the smoke is cleared, but I think the team is moving in the right direction. I think it's a crime against humanity to say this game is completely trash when there are plenty of other Sonic games that people like that are utterly trash. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. Another game that I'm just gonna blast through real quick is Onimusha Warlords. This was a remaster Onimusha 1, and my god, is that game terrible. I thought this game was good for the longest, and nostalgia is a bitch, because when I played this game was terrible. Like,
Oof. Oof.
legitimately fucking terrible.
Oof.
Yeah. I don't want a remake. I mean, if they do a remake, like, they have to redo the whole game, because it's just not good to me.
Yeah.
Um, this format, like, it still had this Resident Evil, the old school tank controls Resident Evil. Um, which Devil May Cry 3 had that too. It didn't have the tank controls for Devil May Cry 3, but they had the fixed camera angles in certain areas. And I don't feel like it works for an action game. And this game was more so like a puzzle action survival horror game type element. And at the time it came out, it was really like good, but this game did not, age well. And anybody, people kind of debated me on this actually on Twitter about Onimusha Warlords, and I'm like, this game is not good, y'all. Like, and it was kids. It was like I'm calling them kids, like because they're like 25 or 26 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and it was kids younger than me, like, yo, this game's actually good. And it's like I'm like, bro, it's not. Like, it's not good at all. Like, this game did not age well. So that's why I put it on the list because uh not everything ages well. Like, you have a memory fondness of a game and you're like, "Oh my god, I remember playing this game for like fucking hours, bro." And I did. I beat Onimusha Warlords on the Xbox like maybe 5 times. I played this game so many fucking times. And I couldn't even get through like 5 hours of playing this shit because I was like, yo, this shit's ass. So yeah. But the real game I get to now is Sifu. So I played Sifu and I really loved this game. Uh it threw me for a loop because it wasn't the game that I thought it was gonna be. It was way harder than I thought it was gonna be. Um but I actually come to love that about the game. Oh, my only problem with it is it had a low replay value because of how difficult it was. Um,
Yeah.
I came off this playing Elden Ring, so jumping into this after playing Elden Ring was like maybe that was my mistake. Um, I just wasn't prepared for what was going to happen. So playing Elden Ring and Sifu, or maybe it was the other way around.
I think it
I
was the
can't
other way
remember.
around. Sifu came out first.
Sifu came out first. Okay, so I played Sifu, yeah, and then I played Elden Ring. I wasn't. I was looking for a buffer before Elden Ring, and I think that's what it was. I was looking for a buffer, and I was looking forward to this game, and I just didn't expect it to be so hard. That being said, the team who did this, Absolver, uh, wonderful job. Uh, One of the rare beat 'em ups that actually requires. I mean, all of them require skill, but like it was like really in depth with like you had to strategize how you're going to approach levels and stuff like that. Um, so I think it was really cool, and the age system they did with it and everything. It wasn't like Dark Souls esque. It was like the older you get, it was a risk reward type deal. Like you can be younger, but you're not as strong, or you can be as older, but you're not as you can be strong, but you don't have as much health. So it's like it was really cool how they did the age system and everything. It's not my game of the year, but it is really I think is worthy of a fucking sequel, like for real. And I'm glad a lot of people actually played this game and gave it a chance.
Hmm.
So sorry for taking up all that. So it's your turn now.
It's all good. Take the time you need. We're here to talk about games, right? So yeah, my first game. This did not come out this year, but I played it in January. Was Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. Um, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but yeah, it culminated the current Final Fantasy 14 story, like the original story with the Realm Reborn, all the way through now, and kind of brought it to an end point. So it is it was a really it was a really nice end point, I think, for that arc, to be honest. And it wasn't as good as Heaven's Ward or um Shadowbringers for me, but
Hmm.
it was still of a high quality, just like those, for sure.
Okay.
And the environments continue to be beautiful, continue to be excellent. I do think the changes they made with my class, the Bard, were actually pretty cool. I know people were upset with it, but I appreciated the changes as somebody playing on controller. I felt like it kind of made the class more smooth to play on console, so I
What
appreciated
what
that.
changes did they do? If you don't mind me asking.
I don't remember everything in exact detail, but I know they changed the way the songs worked. Some of the songs worked. And I think they simplified it a little bit. They just kind of gave you like I don't want to say they gave you less options because that's not really what they did. They just kind of like combined a couple things and made the gameplay a little smoother. There weren't as many things you needed to kind of keep track of, I guess. Um,
Okay.
so it worked. It worked for me personally, um, but yeah, Endwalker, it's great. Recommend it. I will probably go back at some point because there's been some patches since. I know you've been talking about playing. Snakes just downloaded it, so I feel like this is inevitable that we're gonna go back to Final Fantasy 14 again. But I'm okay with that. I mean, I fucking love this game, so I did not get my character to the point that I was done with it last time we played. I was like in the middle of like a giant crafting fucking psychotic grind. So I need to finish that off probably when I come back. But yeah. What's your next game?
So my next game is going to be Elden Ring.
Oh yeah. So I
Uh,
just finished downloading this before the show.
so
Or installing it.
I won't spoil anything for you. But to be honest with you, there's not really anything to spoil because the story is so vast. Um, so this game is really good. Man, it's been a while since I played it, but I actually remember a lot of stuff about it. Um, the exploration was worth it. I really liked exploring this world. You get different items, different chests, different bosses. Um, One thing that I did notice about the bosses that a lot of people weren't talking about, especially when the game came out, because it was still new game smell, which I call it. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of the bosses were repeat bosses or bosses that were just already in the game, like as regular enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you will encounter that a lot where they're just regular enemies, but then they have a boss bar and they're playing boss music, and you're like, "What the fuck? I already fought this enemy before." Um, so I did run into that a couple of times, like repeating bosses. They didn't do it often, but when it did happen, it was weird. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the world was really big and, like I said, worth exploring. There are still things that people are discovering about the world. Um, the PvP at the time, I remember it was still Dark Souls esque bugginess where like there was still like a certain lag and input lag when you hit someone and then they don't start or then they don't get hit or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And I just think at this point that's just the engine they're using. I don't know what it is. People enjoy it. It's obviously a huge audience for it. Um I never really liked the PvP because of that fact. Like I dove into a little bit in Dark Souls 3, but it's just I don't think it's the best. Um
Mhm.
yeah, but as far as PvE though, like I really enjoy exploring the world. It was just really fucking big. I don't know how many hours I put into this game. Maybe 50 or 60. I can't remember. Um but by the time I ended the game, like I was done with the game. I didn't want to go back and play it. Uh I'm pretty sure there were some bosses I missed. There were some bosses I missed. Um I missed
Yeah.
actually one big important fight, which was I forgot her name. The sword lady though.
Millennia?
I missed that fight, huh?
Millennia?
Mulaney, yeah, I think I missed that fight. I missed that fight, and I didn't. That's an optional fight,
Oh,
and
interesting.
I didn't even know
I didn't know that
that.
was optional.
Yeah, that's an optional fight. You have to go out your way to find that quest or whatever. So I missed that fight, and I'm upset that I missed that fight because that apparently that fight was like super hard. When it was first launched or
Um,
whatever.
well, so I have a question for you. I mean, I'm thinking about playing this game obviously now.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm going to do it after the year is over, but um, do you? I mean, you recommend playing this without a guide?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, 100%. Yes.
I don't know. I wasn't really
Um,
planning on using one, but I was.
if you want to do a build guide for a character, or
Yeah.
I only thing I'll recommend getting a guide for is to explain the stats better.
Yeah.
Like, because they don't really tell you what they tell you what the stats are, but they don't tell you what the stats do and how it affects your character and everything like that. Because that shit
Hmm.
actually matters.
Yeah.
So I would get a guide as far as like explaining what the stats do, but not telling you how to build. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, I would definitely do that. But yeah, I think you'll be doing yourself a huge disservice if you get any kind of guide, any kind of walkthrough or anything like that. Just play the game and only if you get stuck, try to look for a guide or whatever, because there are some parts where it gets a little confusing. But even then, it was just a journey of like discovering that stuff. Um, so and they may have changed and patched stuff out and patched stuff in. So a lot
Hmm.
of stuff has changed with the game. So I don't know. I think it's really cool. I actually beat one of the bosses, Radon, before they nerfed him, which was an experience.
Oh yeah.
So I actually feel sorry that you're not going to get to
Well,
experience
didn't they
Radon as
unnerf him?
I don't know. Some people said they did, and some people said they didn't. Now,
Okay.
if you play the PC version, you can get him unnerved. Like you can get a mod to get him to the original form.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that was an experience. I actually like Radon fight unnerved. I thought it was really cool because you spawn like several NPCs, and it's just a really fucking cool fight. To help you out. Um, and his lore is really cool and everything like that. I don't know that Elden Ring was like a really cool world. The only boss I really did not like I seriously hated, was the last boss. The last boss I fucking hated because it was a two-phase boss. So, and to get to the second phase, even the first phase was kind of like, but then
Hmm.
the second phase, it was just like pure bullshit. I hated that boss. So but overall, I think the game, if someone told me this was their game of the year, I wouldn't be mad at it. It's not my personal game of the year because there still were some issues with the game. There still were clipping, people were falling through the map. Uh, some people were, especially when I first played the game, I was scared to go into PvP because some people already hacked the game on the PS5 version, on the console version of the game, and were making people like infinitely fall through the map.
Oh my god.
There was a video of that where a dude pointed down. He went to PvP and the dude pointed down, and then he was like, "What does that mean?" And then he just started falling through the map infinitely. Even when he turned off the game, turned it back on, his character is still falling through the map.
Wow.
Uh, so uh, there
What
were
the
a lot
fuck?
of issues. Yeah, there were a lot of issues that people were kind of ignoring with the game. Um, There still is like a brief input lag that all Dark Souls games have, which I feel like even though Elden Ring was running at 60 frames on PS5, I felt like it was no excuse for it. And we let it go, we let it slide, and this is supposed to be an action game, and I feel like we just let it go because it's like, oh well, it's that's just Dark Souls, and it's like, guys, come on now. It was input lag, and there were some hitboxes that were wonky as fuck. So that's
Mhm.
why I can't give it a 10 out of 10 because that shit really affected me in game. And it wasn't like a get good thing. It was like even my other friends were like, yeah, that shit is crazy, man. Like it shouldn't. And I'm pretty sure they patched it and fixed it by now. But like when the game first came out, I wasn't a fan of that. And
Yeah,
everyone was
nobody
just saying,
talks about it, man.
yeah,
I think that's the frustrating thing about the conversation around this game is like you couldn't be negative about it. It's just like I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
It felt really I don't know. It feels like there was like a mob, protecting this game and man, if you even remotely said something halfway negative, you're fucking done, dude. Like they were coming for
yeah.
you. So,
Yeah, and I understood, like, I even understood the takes of people just completely hating the game. Like, when some of their takes were completely valid. Um, and I was like, yeah, one of my friends, like, he never really liked Dark Souls, but he bought Elden Ring. He played it with me and one of my other friends. We like kind of did we did a triplet play or whatever, a trio play, and we were walking through certain things and everything like that. And yeah, he's just like, I'm not really feeling it, and he gave us our reason why, and I'm like, that's are completely valid. And one of the reasons were the input lag. Like he was just like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why it's in the game. And I
yeah.
explained it to him, and then he was like, I understand it for like the original Dark Souls games, but why the fuck is it in this game? And he's right. Why the fuck is it in this game? And I think he played Demon Souls. And I wanted to say Demon Souls didn't have that input lag. The remake of it didn't
Yeah.
have that input lag.
I don't remember that being there,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, Demon Souls, the remake, bro, is like, he said, like, you should play it. And I haven't played it yet. And I'm so mad I didn't play it yet. So I'm actually going to go back and play it this year. But
Yeah, you
yeah,
should.
that was
It's good.
It's good? Okay. Yeah. And so that was my biggest thing. So I give it like an 8.5 or 8 out of 10 for this game. Uh but yeah, there's definitely something I'm actually glad. I'm pretty sure Miyazaki's not done with Dark Souls or whatever, or the team from software. This game made too much money for them not to be done with the series. Um, but I am glad that they are finally on to other projects because I feel like this was like the parting gift for everybody. Like, okay, we're gonna we're gonna step
Well,
it
it's
away
like
from this project
dude, it's like
for a
15
while.
years almost, like, of
Yeah,
this shit, you know?
yeah,
It's frustrating when a studio gets this, like, stuck on a franchise, in the way,
hmm
like, Naughty Dog is kind of in that situation now. It's just like, ugh, I'd love to see them do something else, especially when you have other IP, like, from Naz with, like, Armored Core, and it's nice to see that they're finally going back to that, but, man, it took too long.
yeah. It took way too long. But I understand, money makes the world go around, and yeah, I don't know. Elden Ring was like a really good send off for me. I think I'm actually done with the series unless a Sekiro game comes out. I'm actually done with this genre. I don't really want another Soulsborne game. Like I would go back and play Sekiro, any time of the day. But like as far as
Neo for
Soulsborne,
me, and yeah, Neo and Sekiro. That's kind of it for me.
yeah, I even and to be honest with you, I don't even consider Neo like a Soulsborne game. I think that's its
Yeah,
own
true.
total genre. So when I'm talking about Soulsborne games, I'm talking about like strictly like the Bloodborns, uh, the Surge, and everything like that. That strictly have that. Like Neo is so different for me, and I'm so mad that I put it in that category. So, but
Yep.
yeah, but Elden Ring though, really good game, really solid game, but it does have its flaws. I think it's actually easier than the other games, but not in the bad way. So when I say it's easier, if you fail at a boss, you can just either go stack up, get some more souls, get your level up and stuff like that, or you can just like bang your head against the wall and finish the boss, or you can go fight a lesser boss and then beat that boss. So I
Yeah.
think the game really does teach you the ways of the just how to play the game,
Yep.
uh, just through playing it. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's my take though.
Yeah, and I think that change or if it is really even a change. The fact that you could literally just walk away from a boss you're having trouble with, go level up, come back and kill it, like I think that totally changes the formula for these types of games for them. Um,
Yeah.
in a positive way to me, because I think that was probably the allure of Dark Souls, because you probably didn't get to do that as much in those games. You know, if you wanted to do that, you needed to just go grind an enemy over and over
Yeah.
again, and it's not nearly as enjoyable as, going and doing something else and leveling. So, but
Yeah.
all right, we got to get moving here. We are 45 minutes in and we talked about like 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
My next game is Triangle Strategy. So, if we were ranking like the games and actually pick the game of the year, um, I actually think this would be the game probably for me. Um,
Okay.
I think this was my favorite game that released in 2022 that I played. Like this game was very, very high quality for me. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the combat in this game. The character progression was not hyper deep, but it was enough there that I enjoyed it in the same way you might enjoy Fire Emblem. I'm going to be honest, I played this game on hard, which I will not recommend for anybody unless you are an SRPG absolute psychopath. Like, unless you play Fire Emblem on Lunatic, do not play Triangle Strategy on hard, because it is some of the most challenging strategy RPG gameplay I have ever experienced. And that is a big
Wow.
reason why I enjoyed this game as much as I did, because it pushes your tactical skills to the limit, dude. Like in a very real way. It is very easy to lose a battle in this game on hard, where because what they did was, honestly, I don't like this in most games, where when you up the difficulty, they basically pump the enemy's stats. Like they take they take less damage, they do more damage to you, they have more health, things like that. They do that in
Mhm.
this game, but for whatever reason, it fucking worked in this game. Like it made things more tactical, where you really need to know your unit's abilities and know how to deploy them and use them in an effective way. Because if you do not, you will get overwhelmed and you will die, because you cannot straight up fight the enemy. Like your units
Okay.
are like weaker in general to the enemy units. Like you can't fight 10 enemies when you have 10 units and expect to win that. You're probably going to lose a bunch of your guys doing that. And now there is no permadeath in this game. So if a unit dies in combat, it'll come back in the next battle, which is great. That usually means that these games are easy, but on hard, the enemies do so much damage. When you lose a unit, it turns it into like your front line. Like if you lose somebody in your front line is now 1 unit smaller, and that is enough to turn the tide, where the enemy can get into your back line and start killing your ranged units and casters and shit. And when they get back there, they will kill them in like 2 strikes. Like that's how strong they were on hard. So it was a very, very tactical game for me, and I fucking enjoyed the absolute hell out of it, because every unit has its niche in your party pretty much. There's a couple units that are duds, but especially on hard, they're just like not good enough. Like they don't do enough damage, or they don't have enough health or whatever, like raw stats to be effective. But for the most part, every unit has its place, and they are effective in their own way, and they
Mhm.
can be very, very effective at their niche. And that was super enjoyable for sure. So, and then the story was good. I did fall off in my second playthrough. I do want to go back at some point and do all the playthroughs of this game, but still, regardless, I enjoyed it a lot, and highly recommend it for people who are into strategy games. Even on normal, I think this game will be somewhat challenging to you. When I knocked the difficulty down to normal, it's like playing the game. It was like playing the game with Rock Lee's training weights on. And I took them off because I was just like laughing as the enemy is barely tickling my units, or at least my perception of them barely tickling my units, because I'm used to my guys dying in 2 or 3 hits. So, especially against like a fucking boss, that like a boss enemy just one shots your fucking units every turn. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, it's a super good game. I think it's one of the best strategy RPGs I've literally like ever played, and that is very high praise from me. So, yeah, I love this game. I really recommend it. I hope it comes to PS4 or PS5 rather. At some point. It's currently a Switch exclusive. So, Montrell,
All
what's your
right,
next game?
sounds good. So my next game is Monster Hunter Rise. I'm actually going to skip this, or do you want to talk about it with me, or do you have
Yeah,
any
let's
other
just talk
thing?
about it together.
Yeah.
Sunbreak.
Yep. So Sunbreak came out and loved the additions they made to the game. Let me get that out the way. Let me get the good stuff out the way.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a mix of good and bad. I don't there's too many bad to be honest with you. I actually really enjoyed this game. I enjoyed all the mechanics of this game that were in Rise, but amped up in Sunbreak.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like the switching of having like two different loadouts for your
Yep.
class or whatever,
Yep.
for your switch wire skills. There you go. Your wire skills was a significant change, and I honestly don't know how to play base Rise without it.
I can't believe
Like
we
it
played
was,
so long without it, dude.
yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
wild when you
It,
think about it.
that's how that's how much of a change it is. And if you're listening to this and you haven't played Rise yet, you're waiting for the PS5 and Xbox version. If you wait this long, just wait more. Because you're gonna play Rise and then you're gonna play Sunbreak that's coming out in the summer for you guys, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like that it significantly changes the game. You can strategize how to go against monsters better and everything.
Mhm.
I actually like the rodeo mechanic in this game a lot more than World, in my opinion. I don't know, it was just fun riding the monsters and then using those monsters as weapons. It was really cool. Um, One thing I love the locales. I actually love the art style of this game too. The art style reminded me of old Monster Hunter, and that's just a pure nostalgic thing for me. I know a lot of people didn't like the art style because it wasn't the Rise or World's art style. But for me, it reminded me so much of like the older games, just
Mhm.
like the cartooniness of the game and everything like that. The whole overall aspect of the game was very cartoony.
Mhm.
Um, and I love that because base or old Monster Hunter was like that, and I love how Sunbreak was kind of like giving a calling card to those older games, or Rise in general. Um, I'm glad they got rid of the Rampage quest because I mean nobody really used it. I
Yeah.
actually was okay with Rampage, to be honest. If I had a team to do it, like when we were playing, like I didn't mind it at all. It was just really bad solo. Um,
Yeah, I think I needed it to be more. It felt way too like wishy-washy, I guess.
yeah,
It like I think it was not a mode where I think it was a mode where they needed to put monster health bars on the monsters,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
I think lacking that information, it just makes the mode like not fun because you have no idea how close you are to killing shit, and
yeah.
it makes it difficult to strategize. I guess you just end up sitting on a turret and you just shoot until things die, and then you do that
Yeah.
with the boss enemy, monster too. So I think if you knew your progress, I think that one thing would have probably made the mode a little bit more enjoyable
Mhm.
overall. But there are some other changes they could have made as well. I think they could have added some more turret types maybe that were a little bit more unique rather than the three we got. And I don't know.
I think they could have turned the rampage mode into modes like the Long Shao quest modes that we used to get back in
Yeah,
the old Monster Hunter 8 days or something like that. I really
yeah.
enjoyed those type of quests. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy those, but I actually loved the Long Shao fights, the Jin Morin fights. I love those fights. They were just different from the average fights. So, or the what was it called in World Zor Maga
Zora
Zor
Magdaros, I
Zor
think.
Magnaros. That sounds right. That sounds
Let me go look. I'll verify.
yeah. I actually enjoyed those fights. I thought those were really cool fights. It was just different stuff to do.
Yep, Zora
And
Magdaros. We
different
were right.
yep, Zor Magnaros, yep. So it was just different objectives to do and everything. So I did like the boss fight, the boss arena fights. I thought they were really cool. Um, Even though sometimes they were annoying, I really enjoyed them.
Hmm.
I don't know. I didn't really enjoy them solo, but I did enjoy them with teammates. Like they were really fun teammates. How platforms would appear and disappear, and you had to use the mechanics and the wire skills to damage certain parts of the monster and everything like that. So, oh, and then I the new monsters, especially the Luna
Lunagron,
Garon,
yeah.
Ludogron, that was one of my favorite
I
monsters. Like
love
that
that monster,
monster
dude. It's like
was
a
so
giant
fucking
werewolf.
cool.
It's so fucking
Yeah.
awesome. I actually think
Yeah.
the Malzeno too, like
Yeah, the
it's
Malzeno was really
it's
cool.
it's
The
like a
vampire
fucking
mustard.
vampire dragon. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
real. Those man, just talking about this makes me so frustrated because I mean you're right overall, right? I have it on my list as like a game I enjoyed this year, and I really did
Yeah.
enjoy it, and I love Monster Hunter. I think Rise, especially now Sunbreak, is a very good game.
Yes, yep,
I just hate the way they handle it now, though.
yep.
It's really
Uh,
frustrating me, and I'm like I'm at this point now. I think we both are, me and you, is that when Paradise comes out, we're not buying it on launch. Like I
Yeah.
don't even know if we're gonna buy it on launch of the expansion, which I think we probably will at that point. But
Yeah, I would buy on the launch of expansion, but, Rise and Sunbreak, even Sunbreak itself, uh, it didn't have all the monsters I wanted it to, and everything like that, and I really didn't like the mechanic for, I forgot what it was called, Apex Monsters? Not
yeah,
was it called Apex Monsters?
yes,
Yeah. I
no,
really
not
didn't like the
Apex. The
what were they called?
anomaly, the anomaly
Anomaly
quests.
monsters, yeah.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy those. I thought the buff they gave the monsters and the debuff they gave you was really weird. It just wasn't an enjoyable fight for me. That kind of turned me off. And they used it as an example or as a crux to well, we got the anomaly version of this monster coming out this week, and it's like, bro, I don't want to fight the anomaly version. Give me a fucking
I don't want to fight
subspecies.
anomaly, fucking,
Yeah,
Kushala Diora, dude. Like, give me a
yeah,
break.
yeah,
Or Teostra.
and
Teostra already explodes. It doesn't need more explosions.
exactly. So from what I've been actually following the game and the monsters that released, and a lot of the monsters, the subspecies that came out are significantly different from the base species, and I want to get back into it, but I just want to wait until the whole roadmap
Yep.
is done so I can go back
This
into it and
summer.
dive into it.
This summer.
Yep,
I think that's our target is this summer.
yep. uh,
So
so I don't know, but yeah, that was the biggest downside for the game. The biggest downside was like still a lack of content. Like, cause me and Justin can blast through these games, and we just got
and
bored,
we
bro.
did.
Like,
We
we,
blasted through it in a month or less than a
yeah,
month. It was like 3 weeks, I think we were done with this game.
yeah,
Where you and I were just like bored. We're like, what do we do? I don't
yeah,
know. Like, go fight anomaly monsters and get our rank 10 weapons. Okay, dude.
yeah,
And then what do you do?
exactly.
It's like there's nothing to do.
Yeah,
So
whereas like World had and I hate to compare it to World, but World had so much shit, bro. It was
Well,
incredible. Um,
Iceborne at launch was fucking nuts, because it I just I don't know. I feel like the Monster Hunter community would probably disagree with us. I actually don't think the Monster Hunter community likes the world that much. And going back and playing it, I admittedly don't love it either. I think Rise feels like significantly better to play
oh yeah,
than World.
100%. Yeah,
But which is funny to say because World's a console game, but I just think content wise, like, dude, they had everything I could ever want out of a Monster Hunter expansion in Iceborne ready to go. They
yep,
had fucking like 40 monsters, like ready to go at launch. And then they had fucking like the guiding lands ready to go, and that unlocked more monsters.
yeah. So I
And
agree,
yeah,
and
it was just
I
sorry, I
mean,
had to sneeze there.
oh,
Um
I thought you were dead.
no, I sorry, I had to sneeze. I muted myself. But yeah, I like they had the guiding lands, which then unlock more subspecies, which like was the end game, in it.
yeah,
And as much as the guiding lands, I think overall might have been a little bit of a miss in some ways. Like it was a little too grindy.
yeah,
And it was kind of weird how some of the stuff worked in there, but I just liked it as a unique idea though. It was cool compared to like the anomaly monsters are a total miss for me. Like they're boring and they're annoying to fight. I fucking hate them, because they take fights that you can like actually play around and turn them into this fucking bullshit timer where if you don't do enough damage to a specific part of the monster, the whole monster fucking
yeah,
explodes and takes off 3/4 of your health for no fucking reason, and then makes you bleed and you fucking die, like basically, just because
yeah,
you weren't hitting their fucking left abdomen, like hard enough. It's like, okay, dude, like great, so
yeah,
um but it is what it is. We're gonna go back to it, I think, and play it in the summer when
Definitely.
all the title updates are out. And as much as I get annoyed when I talk about this game, it is a really good game. I think if this was your first Monster Hunter game, you would be fucking blown away by it.
Oh
So
yeah,
we're just
100%.
talking from the position of being veterans. We're fucking jaded. Montrell's been playing this series for 20 years. I've been playing it for 10. It's like or 11 at this point, and it's like at a certain point we've seen everything, and it's kind of hard for them, I think, to like really wow the two of us at this point.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so we
I
we
wasn't
are
really
hard to
impressed by the
please. I admit that.
yeah. I was really impressed by the movements and everything. I thought a faster Monster
Yes.
Hunter would be the detriment to it, but it actually worked out
Nah,
very
bro,
well.
this is the best Monster Hunters I've ever felt. I do have to give
Yeah.
them that. Like, it
Yeah.
really is.
And I really hope this carries into the next Monster Hunter. We can't go back to the Clutch Claw.
Clutch
So
Claw. Oh
yeah, so
no.
I don't know. I'm interested in seeing what they're gonna do with the next Monster Hunter, but this one was a really good game. It was a solid 7 for me, 7 to 8 for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it has some issues, but I had really some good fun with it.
Yep. All right, my next game. This will be short. Is Pokemon Legends Arceus. I didn't even beat this game, but I put it on my list because it was different. For Pokemon.
Yep.
And it was that, it was that game that I think in theory we've always been wanting, right? Where it's open
Yep.
world and you catch the Pokemon out in the field and you throw Pokeballs at the Pokemon as they're walking around, and they're wild animals, they'll fucking come at you, dude, and they'll attack you and shit. And that's kind of what this game was. The battling in this game is really shallow, but like this game's about catching Pokemon. That's what this game is about. And I'm gonna be honest, like Pokemon to me at this point in my life does kind of feel like it's at its best when the focus of the game is on capturing Pokemon and collecting Pokemon, not training them and battling them. Because I know a lot of people would disagree with me this, but I don't think the strong suit of Pokemon has ever been the combat. That has
A
never
lot
been.
of people would disagree with you with
I
that.
just I'm sorry. I don't think that's the reason it's popular. I think the reason it's popular is because there's these cute monsters in this really like modern-esque world, and there's a huge collection aspect to the game, and humans love to collect things. We are collectors. That's what we do, It's fucking
Yeah.
I think that's a huge reason why Pokemon's popular. So I think this game overall, while it is really basic and feels kind of empty at times, that core of it is really strong and very enjoyable. It wasn't strong enough to keep me going till the very end, but honestly, with Scarlet and Violet coming out and almost regressing from what some of the stuff Arceus did, is kind of showed me the positive side of this game a little bit more than I was initially considering when I was thinking about it. It kind of proved out that this game did have something special to it. Um,
Yeah.
and Scarlet and Violet, I think, unfortunately, it's annoying because they like undid the mechanic where you can't catch Pokemon by throwing Pokeballs at them in the field. You have to battle them.
Oh,
You have to
okay.
battle them the old way, reduce their health, and then throw a Pokeball at them. And I don't understand
Okay.
why they did that because, dude, there's nothing more fun in Arceus than just running around catching some Pokemon. Sneaking up on them in the tall grass, like crouched and trying to stealth up to them and catch them off guard and like get like a critical throw. You know,
Yeah.
that shit is actually really addicting. So, I very much enjoyed that aspect in that game. So, all right, Marshall, what's your next
Okay.
one?
We both have this one. I don't know if you want me to talk about them all in a package or uh just like we all
Yeah, why
both
don't
of
you
us
talk
talk
about
about
them
it.
in a package first, and then we'll talk about three together.
Okay. Yeah. So my next three games are the Chronicle series, Xenoblade Chronicle series, excluding X. So personally, if we're talking about games that we played this year, Xenoblade Chronicles One would be my game of the year. I really enjoyed this game.
Yeah, this was
Um,
your first time going all the way through with it, right?
Yep, because I tried multiple attempts before, but I never went all the way through it. But this one, I did it. I started over actually, and I just uh actually, you know what? I didn't start over. I started from where I was at, and then I just went through it because I remembered the story and everything like that. Um, And yeah, this game really sets the tone up for the next two games. But this one, I don't know, it was just really good. Uh and to be honest with you, if I had to pick a game for game of the year of the games that did come out this year, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 would be up there for me. Um I really enjoyed the story of this game as well. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, okay. If Andy's listening, bro, I'm sorry. This game, bro,
Justin's
I
right.
know,
Justin's right.
yeah,
Say it. Just
yeah,
say it.
yeah, Justin's right. Like, and I know this is actually a hot take for Xenoblade Chronicles fans in general because a lot of people started with two. They didn't play one first,
Yep.
so a lot of newer fans rather. Um, so to break it down for you, like Xenoblade has this kind of JRPG MMO ish type combat with it, and it can get very fast. It may start out slow, but it gets very fast. Um, the thing with one is when you get three characters,
Yeah.
even with two characters, in my opinion, but you get three characters, the combat is already fast. Like if you know how to play the game and know how to control Shulk,
Yep.
you can do crazy shit like already, right
Yep.
out the gate.
Yep.
And then even if you get bored with Shulk, you can play other characters and learn them and everything. And that's the beauty of Xenoblade Chronicles One is um I learned different characters because I got bored. I was playing them for hours, and then I play another character, and then I learn how to play that character. And then once you learn how to play that character, you can learn how to use the AI to your advantage when that AI is
Yep.
controlling that character.
Yep.
The one of the funnest characters to me was Melia and Dunban.
Oh yeah.
Those characters were like so fucking fun to me.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Um, and even when you get a character later on, I don't want to spoil it because that if people are going to play the game, that's a major spoiler. Even when
Yeah.
you get a character later on, they're really fun too as well.
Yep.
So, um, and then not just the combat, but the story was just
It
it
slaps.
was
Like it's just it's
yeah,
good
there
from
you go.
back.
Yeah,
It's good from
yeah,
beginning to
man.
end, man. Like
It's good from beginning to end. Like your payoff, like the enemy that you think you're chasing, they're a menace to society. They're a menace to you. They're like teasing you the entire time. Like I don't know, compared to the other two Xenoblade games, there was no enemy like this
they
enemy.
truly felt
Um,
menacing. Like
yeah,
the other two games try to make a villain like that, like that's menacing, and they just both games fail. I think. Overall, I think three is more successful than two, but two is like
yes,
laughable. You know,
yeah. Two is,
like ugh,
and that's why two is on the bottom of the totem pole for me.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like two's combat was really fucking good. Like I like two's combat. The problem with two combat for me was the time it took to ramp up. And people may disagree with that. So like if I was to compare one and two's combat, like at the height, at peak, one and two would barely be below one. You know what I'm saying? Because two, once you get everything that you
hmm
need to get, once the
yeah,
game unlocks for you
yeah,
and all clicks, you're like, holy fucking shit, this game is fucking good as fuck. And that's what I was doing. Especially it clicked for me, especially at the end when I was using like all the chain attacks and the orbs of the chain attack and sealing reinforcements and everything like that. I had to use all that for the final boss. Like I didn't over level myself. Like I had to use all that for the final boss and everything like
hmm
that. And
yeah,
it was just really satisfying when you just used every mechanic of the game to beat the final boss. And two really shined in that last battle. But before then, it was just I didn't like the gotcha factor. I actually love the blades, but it
yeah,
didn't really make me want to play other characters. You can play other characters and other blade or drivers, they call them. You can play other drivers in Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
yep,
I just didn't feel the need to because I can just equip that driver, that blade to my driver that I want, which is Rex, the
yep,
main character, and then play it like that.
yeah.
So
Which I thought that was disappointing, to be honest.
exactly.
Yeah,
So and then I can turn him into a tank if I want to. And I thought the variety factor of it was really cool. And I was thinking about it like today and last night and everything, how y'all said, well, wow, like well, you can take a paladin and spec him for DPS and then turn him back into a tank or whatever. And I felt the same way with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I didn't have to be with Nia. I didn't have to be Nia. I can just spec my characters and I
Yeah.
can become Nia without playing that character.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah, and
say
I
though,
think
however,
it gives a character I think this is the thing. It gives those characters no identity, you know?
exactly,
And everybody's just a homogenized, basically like mannequin that you're putting clothes on, you know? Um,
exactly.
yeah.
But like that being said, though, I think. Oh, thank you, Bay. I think all three of them had really good character design and character development.
Yes.
Two was still the weakest out of all of them, but that doesn't take away from the game. The character and the banter and everything like that, I actually enjoyed it a lot. I think, in my opinion, you may disagree with me on this one, but in my opinion, three's like character development and bantering and everything is up there with one. Like they're neck for neck in
No,
my opinion.
so yeah, let's talk about 3 a little bit. So
Yeah,
I actually I agree with you there in a lot of ways. I think one's cast is one of the best JRPG casts in any game. Because that party is cohesive. Like they are a unit, but they are also their own individual people, and you explore
yeah,
that with every one of them, pretty much.
hmm
And I love that because a lot of JRPGs will just give you like 10 characters, and then there's like 4 or 5 of them that are fucking irrelevant to the story and never have anything. They don't even show up in cutscenes.
yeah,
Um, Xenoblade Chronicles never does that in any of their games, and I think that's a humongous strong suit of the series overall, to me, because I hate JRPGs when they do that, where they give you a character and they're like they get their little intro cutscene and then they're around for like one arc of the game and then they're never heard from again, you know.
yeah,
I hate that shit. But so I do hold one's cast to a very high standard. However, I 3 is a weird game because the first half of the game is super slow, like super slow,
yeah.
crazy slow. It's like it's like Fellowship of the Ring if they didn't get to Moria by the end of the movie, you know? Like it's fucking like that slow. Like nothing important to the plot really happens in the first half of the game. However, I do want to acknowledge that I'm the kind of person that I really love the slow parts of stories a lot of the time.
hmm
That those slow moments where nothing is happening and you get to kind of explore the characters and learn who they are and see what they do in their little moments, like the weird things when they fucking they're like habits, their routines, like when they wake up in the morning, like what do? Like
Yeah,
fucking Lance wakes up at like 5 a.m. and does like 1,500 sit-ups. It's like that stuff. Like you learn who they are, right? I
yeah,
love that stuff in stories. So I do think, as much as that first half of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I think would be a major turnoff to a large amount of people. For me, I actually, looking back on it, might be my favorite section of the game, actually.
hmm
Because as much as I like the middle to the like 50 to 75% section, and I do think that section of the game is pretty strong from a story perspective. There's some gameplay that I dislike in that section a lot, but I think the first half is my favorite. I think the final quarter though is my least favorite part of the game. And
yeah.
it's
I can
just a
agree with
really
that.
inconsistent game, I think,
Yeah,
in that regard in terms of the story. I think there's ups and downs in the story, and unfortunately there's certain aspects of the story that I think they don't get into deep enough that maybe they're going to get into in this DLC, that I think
yeah,
that's unfortunate if that's the case, because I didn't feel that way with 2. I definitely didn't feel that way with 1. But I didn't feel that way with 2, even though 2 did have a DLC that expanded on the story and lore. I never felt that in 2,
yeah,
that I was
yeah,
missing anything. So and I think the integration with the other games wasn't executed the way I wanted either.
yeah,
But I'm not going to hold that against them. That's maybe me having expectations that are unreasonable. So no, I think 3 is a really solid game. I think if I were ranking this year's games, it would be in the top mid to top of the list probably.
Okay. I will say the thing that three's combat is weird, but fun, but
Yes.
weird in a way.
Yeah.
Um, and it takes a while to wrap your head around. Once you learn that you don't have to control every character, the AI actually carries the game really well in three. Um,
Early in the game they sucked dick though. I'm
oh
just
yeah,
going to
early in
say
the game
that.
they really do suck.
Yeah.
But
The
the
healers don't know how to heal early in the game.
yeah,
It's weird as fuck. I, like, had to play the healer in certain battles, like, because the game just could
that
not heal.
that is one aspect of the game. In tough battles, I did have to heal myself. Like
Yeah.
I had to play the healer. The DPS and the tanks in particular, they do really well at tanking. Um, 'Cause I don't think they have like some kind of restriction. I don't think they have the cooldown restriction that we have. Because even when I was playing tanks, especially early on in the game, I lose aggro a lot, and it was fucking crazy. But if
Yeah.
I gave the CPU or the AI tanking, they always held aggro no matter what. So
Well, this one
I
tank class that's literally, like, almost unkillable and literally you can't pull aggro off of it.
yeah.
It's the one you get from Monica, I think,
Yes.
later in the
Oh,
game.
that tank class is the
Jesus
best.
Christ, that class is overpowered as hell. Like,
Yeah,
oh my god.
I use and her chain attack skill was crazy as well.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, so I don't know. I didn't like the chain attack as much as I did in 2 and 1. I feel like they were very strategic. In 3, it was very strategic, but I feel like the game depended too much on it.
Yeah, and
That may
it
sound
was an
weird.
obnoxious it took
Yeah.
obnoxiously long. It's like a meme how long chain
Yeah.
attacks took, dude. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. It was like a game in itself, when you're
yeah,
playing the chain
take
attacks in
like
there.
15 minutes to execute one. Like,
Yeah. Whereas the other games, they are like pretty much, done in like 2 or 3 minutes. If one, it was super done. It was done in
it
like
was like
1 minute,
20 seconds. Like, yeah,
20 seconds or something.
yeah.
Um, but like, yeah,
Folks like, we're doing a chain attack. What the fuck was that? I can't do the voice right now. We're doing a chain
uh,
attack. What? I
but
can't
like,
do the
I
voice,
don't
man.
know.
I can't do it. What the fuck? I'm broken. Go on. Sorry.
But yeah, like I don't know. Three's combat was really good. It kind of it tried to combine 1 and 2, and the way that the story was done,
Yeah.
you see why certain characters like I don't want to spoil the name, but the way they did it, if you understood 1 and 2, and then you played characters from different aspects of 1 and 2, it just showed what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Why they did that, and I thought that was like really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I just really love the cast. My favorite character was Uni. She was
Yeah.
just
Same.
really fucking funny. Uh,
I love her.
uh
Like,
yeah,
she is.
unapologetically British.
Yeah.
She was just she was just, and I'm not talking about like Mary Poppins British. I'm talking about
No, she's a
like
fucking
at the
hard.
pub.
She's a hard
Yeah,
ass bitch, dude. Like, man, she will fuck you up, dude.
exactly. And she was just like one of my favorite characters. I love the villains as well. I love the spin, or
Okay,
not the villain. Okay, not all the
the
villains. It was
organization can get fucked. I think that's the worst part of the game.
there
But
you go. The organization.
there's specific characters though in the villain group that I think are really strong.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll specifically say like N, M, and maybe J, and
Yeah,
then
Jay was okay.
Jay's partner.
Yeah,
I like those. I like those characters.
yeah.
Overall,
They were pretty cool.
but the
Yeah.
overall organization I think is really poorly thought out.
Oh yeah, and the
Especially the
final and the head of
final boss, dude. Yeah, the final boss is such an what the fuck? I don't even
that
know.
was a real disappointment for me.
Yeah, super disappointment because they do so much build up, and I just think there's no payoff with that character.
Yeah. So I mean, overall though, I enjoyed the series. I think the series is very strong. Just because I ranked Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at the bottom doesn't mean it's bad. It's a really good JRPG.
It's still
It's
like an
actually hard.
8.5.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually hard to play other JRPGs.
Yeah.
Coming from like, for
Oh yeah.
instance, I played
Yeah.
Crisis Core this week, and I beat the game, but the dialogue and everything like that. Granted, it's the same dialogue from like 2008 or whatever. Um, but it's just not as strong as like Xenoblade Chronicles. And I even say, to me, in my opinion, like people consider like Persona 5 really strong because how the dialogue is in that game and how the characters interact. I think Xenoblade Chronicles rivals Persona games. Like
Yeah.
that's how good it is for
Yeah.
their characters.
Yeah.
They actually seem like real people. Like in like a JRPG world. It's kind of
Well,
crazy.
dude, that's what frustrates me about this series is it's getting more popular over time for sure. And I think we're
Yeah.
getting a fourth game that continues this story for sure. I think that definitely was that's how it felt at the end at least. But listening to other, media members or influencers talk about Xenoblade Chronicles, like 1 or 3 or any of them really. Man, dude, it's unbelievable like
Oh
they just
no,
don't they
you're
don't get it, bro. Like they just don't
it-
they
a
don't get
lot
it.
of
They
people
just think
don't
this
get
is
it.
like standard bog JRPG bullshit, Like they think
A
this is
lot of
like a
people don't
Tales
get it,
game,
man.
like level
Yeah,
JRPG and I'm like, god, man.
yeah.
You
And
just
even Tails gets more respect than Xenoblade
which
Chronicles.
is
I
insane, 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 total insanity.
I
This is coming from somebody who loves Tales. Tales is not
exactly.
anywhere
I love
near
Tails. I love Tails
fucking
games.
Xenoblade. I'm sorry, not
Um,
even close.
yeah, because like the pinnacle for me, and this may be dumb as fuck for a lot of people. Pinnacle like character development for me was like Vesperia. I was like, holy
Yeah,
shit, these characters are like really
yeah,
fucking good, you know?
and that's like it's probably that okay. Vesperia is really good.
Yeah,
That game though, I was trying to replay it last year, and dude, I couldn't
it's
do it.
hard to do it
It's
because the
cringe. The
game's
game is
dated.
just so cringe. There's
Yeah,
so much cringe at the beginning of that game. It's hard, and
yeah.
that's my thing. Xenoblade Chronicles to me doesn't have that cringe. Like it's just for the most part. Like two had it. I think that's where two. That's why two is kind of the worst. Like it is a little bit more in that like standard JRPG
And I
stereotype,
think that's why a lot of people
but
like it more
which is
because it is
crazy.
that is that standard. Like you have you have your fan service girls. You know, you have all that
Yeah.
bullshit. You have your cool villain guy, you know, with the white hair, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I really didn't like it because in Xenoblade
Cool
Chronicles
villain
1,
guy with the white
yeah, the cool villain guy with the white
You're
hair. You
right,
know,
yeah,
right?
like
You're right.
fucking, Cowboy Bebop or yeah, definitely.
So
He
like
uses a sword, like, fuck.
Exactly. Like in one, the main villain is ugly as fuck. He's not enjoyable to look at. Like he's a
They're
fucking
fucking
dick.
robots, like, they're
Yeah,
fucking robots, like, dude, it's, like,
yeah.
you're fighting
He's a
fucking like, they don't even talk the villains don't even say anything for the first, like, 10 hours of the game, like, they just show up and fucking fuck shit up and leave, It's like
yeah. The first, and we made this comparison earlier in the year, but Xenoblade Chronicles One, the first couple hours of it, it's literally Attack on Titan,
yeah,
like through and through.
yeah. Before
And
Attack
that
on Titan existed, by the way, so
exactly. Like it set that precedent because like oh it's like a happy-go-lucky adventure and then every this your world gets
it
fucked
really
up
is.
and
You're totally right, dude. It's so fucking funny when you put it in that context. I was like, damn, dude, you're totally right. Like the first couple hours of the game are like episode 1 of Attack on Titan,
exactly
like straight up. Like,
exactly
oh,
and then
it's
you just
crazy.
have this menacing thing like that seems you meet other colonies and there's just this menacing factor like they're everybody's fighting against the mechons and you're like everyone doesn't know if they can beat them but they know they have to fight against them and everything like that you
They're actually
barely
pretty
have any
sure they
fans.
can't beat them, but they fight anyways.
Exactly. And you have like one fan service girl, which is Charla, like barely, if you know, whatever.
Yeah, she is the fan service girl, but I will say she's not like the traditional one. She's a fan
Exactly.
service because of the costumes they give her, not because of
Because
how
the
she
cops
acts.
exactly.
She's
Yeah.
like a full on mature adult.
Yeah. And she
So
has a really good arc.
yeah,
Like a really good,
I
decent
agree.
arc in my
No, and
opinion.
that's my point about the game. They don't forget about her, right? She's the character that could have easily been forgotten and relegated to the background for the party, right?
And they
But dude,
don't forget about her.
deep into the game, she's having moments, like important moments in the main storyline. Like
Yep.
that's my point about the game. It's just there's no character that they just leave behind. Even the fucking comedy relief character is still like relevant.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
So I don't know.
Tales better than
And when
Xenoblade Chronicles.
And when I
Ugh.
was playing, when I put this game online, like posting my hours, people like, I feel so bad for you. How did you do it? I can't
I mean,
believe you
even
played
I
this
was
game.
saying you have the willpower of a
Well, like
titan. Like
they were saying like in a not in a good way. They were saying like I can't play Xenoblade because Xenoblade Chronicles is terrible, like a terrible game to them.
yeah,
And you know what?
they've never
It's
beat
like
it. They've never beat
yeah,
it.
it's
That's my
one of
thing.
those games. Yeah, it's one of those games where you have to put your dedication into it.
See it all the way
Um,
through.
Yeah, and that's why I don't recommend this game to people. I'm like, listen, do you? It's like, man, I heard you really like Xenoblade Chronicles. Like, people were DMing me about the game. It's like, you played all three of these games. You put hella hours into these games. Like, you're an action game player and you love these games. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't strongly recommend this game to you because I had to learn the game. Like, I learned the game, and once I learned the game, and put hours into it, and just enjoyed it for what it was, I ended up loving the game. Like, I wasn't comparing it to any other game, and it shouldn't be compared to any other game because I think that's why I like it so much. Because even two is the most anime-ish game of the Xenoblade Chronicles games. And
Yeah,
if you thought two story was like incredible, well, gee whiz, like fucking three and one, those, especially one,
buckle up,
those
man.
games
Yeah,
are really good because even the main character in one, like, or in three, I'm sorry, even one, shit, yeah. Main character in one, he doesn't get his shonen moment. It's completely taken away from him. And you're like, what?
yeah,
And then it comes back, but it's not in the shonen way.
right.
It just makes sense. So, but even in three, like, three doesn't have, to me, three story is really good because it really doesn't have a shonen moment. The party legitimately loses at one point. Like,
Yeah.
it's done.
Oh yeah.
It's over with.
Yeah. No,
And
dead to
everybody's
rights.
devastated about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Dead to rights. Yeah.
so I don't know. Like, I don't feel like
That was the best part of the game.
that
I think.
was the best part of the game.
Yeah.
That was
No,
legitimately the
no,
best
they
part of the
got me,
game.
dude. I'm like, how are they gonna get out of this? Like, yeah, no, they
Yeah.
got me there for sure.
It was some really good writing. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, two had
Yeah, it
anime
wasn't an
moments.
ass pull, by the way.
Yeah.
It's there if you were paying attention.
Yeah.
So that's the thing
Um,
with their writers, I think, is this is my point, I guess, about them versus like Tales, right? They don't do ass pulls really, like in their stories for the most part. I will say two had a little bit of that, but again, this is our point about two. That's why two is like not as good, right? There are some cracks in that game. One and three though don't have that stuff. Like there isn't an ass pull moment, really. With
yeah.
one, definitely not. Everything in that game that the party achieves, like they earn, you know,
Yep.
with their own power and their own ability. So it's I don't know. It's a great series.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I'm
I
not
do
gonna
look
harp on
forward to
it.
4 though, because it's gonna be sort of a reset, I think.
I
Um,
just don't want them to. My problem is, and I mean, Monolith Soft's a competent developer or whatever. I really don't want them to look towards reviewers and certain influencers and be like, okay, we got to do that because that's what people want. Like, no, do the writing that you did in three and one. Two was okay, like I said, but like three and one's writing was like deep as fuck. I think that's why a lot of people. I think, in my opinion, that's why three sold really fast because people were playing it and like,
mhm,
yo, this story is crazy. These characters are crazy.
mhm.
Even the meatheads and everything in the story like had
Yeah, they're deep
development,
characters.
deep characters, and I
I
don't know.
like
It just
Lands a lot actually, in
yeah, I do too.
in 3.
I actually like all of the characters. Like, there's not one character I just don't like.
I
Like, I
think
just fucking hate.
I think Senna's the closest, but I don't
Yeah, her development was a little weak.
I don't
Her
dislike
development,
her though. She has some moments. She still does
yeah,
have her moments. So
y-
but yeah, no,
yeah.
like Mio, Noah, uh Uni, I'm trying to remember everybody's name. Oh my god.
Tyon,
Tyon, and then I'm forgetting one. Lands, Senna.
yeah, that's the main
Oh,
party.
that's the whole
That's
party.
it.
Yeah, no, no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
that's the main
Yeah,
party.
they're
Yep.
great. They're great.
Yeah. And then even the characters that you meet along the way that like hop in and out that you can swap in and out, like they have their own character arcs, and I don't know, it's a really good game. My only gripe with all three of the games is how fucking large these games are.
Yeah, they do need to tone that down, man. It's too much. Like I think one is the only one I tolerated it with
One
because
is
I
okay,
love
one
the
is
world. I
decent.
love the world in Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Like running around in the world, like it is so fucking cool. Like you are
Yeah,
literally living on these giant titans.
yeah,
And it's just like such a cool concept. I know two, you do live on Titans as well, but it's a little bit more. I don't know. Like in
it's
one,
more
like
like it's more like islands and peninsulas.
Kinda, yeah,
Like,
exactly,
yeah,
like, and they just
yeah,
kinda move around, it's like,
yeah,
not nearly it's not as interesting, I guess, of a concept.
yeah. Because you don't. I mean, because the lands in two, they had like actual lands or whatever. Like you're in like Morag Division 1 or whatever. But like in Xenoblade Chronicles 1, it was like I'm on the Bionis' thigh. And they'll refer in the story like, yeah, we're in colony, whatever, and we live on a Bionis' foot. And it's like, bro, what? Y'all live on a foot?
And
Like
you're
that's
like, one of the
crazy to think
areas
about.
you go up is, like, you're running up the Bionis leg, like, "What the fuck, dude?" You know?
Yeah, and it's like it's hard to forget that you're actually on another being. Like, yeah, I
Yes.
forgot I'm on another being.
Yep.
So I don't know. It was really cool. In three, I actually like the war aspect of it and everything, and I don't know, it was just a really cool. All of them are really good. It's already 1:30, but yeah, all of them are really good.
Yeah,
So
we
I'm
gotta
gonna go.
get
I'm gonna
moving
stop.
here.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. Oh, the next game we can talk about with each other too. So,
Okay.
or well, for you, it's actually different. So
Well,
yeah, you
I
can talk
was
about
gonna
that one.
say, why don't we take a break from the single player stuff and talk about online
The
games? Because
multiplayer.
I
Yeah,
got 4 multiplayer games and you have 3, I think,
yeah.
here. So let me talk about the one that only I played, which was Legends of Runeterra. I don't have a lot to say about it at this point. I think I've said it throughout the year, but I did enjoy this for the 2 or 3 months that I played it. I ran out of content basically, and kind of put it down at that point. I don't enjoy it necessarily as a card game to play against other people, but the single player Path of Champions that they have in the game is a really fun mode though, and that's what kept me coming back to it forever. So I'll probably pick this back up in a year or two when they've expanded that even further, and there's even more to do there. So
Okay.
definitely very fun. If you want to play free to play, this game is super free to play friendly. It's just really grindy to get all the cards, but you will eventually get them. And Yeah, it's pretty good. So let's get into the other games. So first one I have is Overwatch 2. We, like I've said last week, we've been taking the piss out of Overwatch for years, on this podcast, but we decided to give Overwatch 2 a try, and it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, you know what? That's literally all I have to say about it because it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm not super deep into it. I
Yeah.
love jumping in and out of the game.
Yep.
Um, I don't have enough education on the store
Meta.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, the meta and the store system.
Yeah.
I don't have enough education on that, so I'm not going to comment on that. Um,
Yep.
I know the Overwatch community as a whole, people who came up from the original Overwatch fucking hate it. I don't mind it because it was like that. It's like that in Apex. It's like that in fucking League of Legends. Like that's just life over here without loot boxes.
That's just the standard at this point,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So, welcome to modern gaming. But it's like,
Modern gaming.
as far as like all the changes they did and the characters, they all feel unique. I fucking hate Mora. Um,
Yeah. Junker
I don't
Junker
know the
Queen's the
game's
shit.
yeah, Junker Queen's the shit. But yeah, I just feel like the game's super fun. I can play it in batches. I can play it for like an hour or two, and I think that's just like what it's designed for.
What it
Play it for
is.
like an
Yeah, I think
hour.
that's the game. I don't think
Yeah,
it's a game you play all day. Like
yeah. I
it's
can't.
not
I don't see how
like
people
that
play
for
it all
me.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I love playing it in like in batches. Just play it, get it over with. Play it with friends. It's super fun, even when we're bitching or having fun, and we pull out some clutch moments. It's a fun game. So they
Yep.
knocked out the park with it, in my opinion.
Yep. Fair enough. I agree. Next game. Let's talk about Apex next. I put this one down and I put the word disappointment in parentheses. So this game is not in my games of the year. I want to talk about Apex because I think it's been an important game for us for the last
Yeah,
3 years. And I think it deserves a, I don't know, one of those Viking funerals basically, because that's I think that's where we're at with it. I know the group has been joking about playing it recently, but I'm still in a firm no camp. This game, I am not far enough away from this game to even think about giving it a shot again. And
and I totally understand.
I need to see so much more out of these developers in terms of changes and making this game better before I even consider coming back to it because I'm done with it.
Yep.
When we stop playing, I guarantee you, if I turn this game back on and we played it for a night, by the end of that night, I'd be so angry, and I would really literally be sitting there like I wasted this entire night. And that's how I feel when I play Apex now, and I'm not gonna play it again until they do things that change that. So
And that's how I felt when I uninstalled the game as well. I felt like at the end of the night I could have been playing something else. Um, and when I get like that with a multiplayer game, that's why I know it's time for me to just put it down, or and whatever. The thing that disappoints me about Apex is like we had a rough time trying to fill that void because that game was legitimately fun. It's a legitimately fun game.
it is. It
It's
still is. That's the
it's
problem. It still
exactly
is. It's everything around the game that ruins it. Like
exactly.
all
Uh,
all the things that they don't care about, they do wrong. The hackers, the matchmaking, the audio issues,
yep.
the fucking bullshit that should be fucking fixed, and they should put effort into fixing it. It took them losing like 80% of their player base in like 3 months for them to fucking actually do something, or like say they're gonna do something.
Yeah.
Like if that hadn't changed, if we hadn't done that as a player base, they would have never changed anything. We would have had the same fucking bullshit content cycle that we've had for fucking 15 seasons.
Yep.
And I'm just yeah, I don't know. I
No, disappointment is because it's hard to it's actually weird too, right? Apex is a very unique game to where other communities hate Apex. I
yeah,
didn't know this until recently.
they
Like I
call them
didn't
the
know.
sweats.
Yeah, they call everybody like us. I was like, yeah, I play Apex like exclusively. They're like, ugh, you play that game? And I'm like, yeah. Every time I play that game, I get fucking killed in like 2 seconds or whatever. And it's like I didn't realize. I don't understand how bad people are, but I didn't realize how bad people are at first person shooters until I went to other shooters, and I was just like, "Yo, what? Like I'm killing people. Like I'm with the Modern Warfare, and I
Absolutely.
was like,
Yeah.
I'm killing
Dominating.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because Apex has such a high skill ceiling because it's so fucking fun. Like the wall jumping, the character abilities, and placement, map placement, and all this stuff. It's just fun, and the kill time is low, so you can't just pop somebody and keep running. You have to actually like know how to fight that
There's a
person.
tactical element to the game. Also, yeah,
Exactly.
you need good aim too.
Yep.
It rewards good aim. It's a game that rewards good aim for sure.
Exactly. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like it because it has a high time to kill, which I love those type of games. I think that's why Halo's not as popular as it is now because it has a high kill time um as well. So it's just like a really good character game, really good battle arena game. There really isn't any other game like it, and there won't be another game like it for a while. In my opinion. I think this is like, which is funny, this is the apex of like BRs for me. Like there will never be another BR like Apex Legends. And the fact that they're dropping the ball so hard on the game. First of all, I love the series. I love the Titanfall series in general.
Yeah.
Um,
You
so
mean
I
the
always thought
Apex? You mean the Apex Legends universe?
don't start with me. Uh, I love the Titanfall universe in general. I thought the universe was like very cool. Respawn has always been really good on movement. Uh, all the all the all the powers, majority of the powers that are in Apex Legends, are powers that are in Titanfall 2. That you get as like loadouts and stuff like that. So it's like I don't know. It's just a really cool game. But yeah, like Justin said, like man, the hackers, uh the lack of just attention to the game, and you know there's one character in particular where we joke and say her butt's so big that she can't crouch properly, but like she can't even crouch behind a wall because her head would be showing, and we don't, and nobody knows why. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, and these bugs and these certain other bugs and stuff like that that have been in the game for years. But I'll even ignore the bugs if they just get rid of the hacker problem. The hacker and smurfing problem is just a huge
Totally.
issue.
Totally. I totally agree with you. Like I can deal with the audio issues. Like I totally
Yep.
can. And some of the weird gameplay shit. Every game has some of that stuff, right? Like that
Yep.
weirdness. It's the lack of attention and care that they have taken to the core community of their game and making sure that they're having fun playing the game.
Yep.
Because they don't care, and they have shown that over and over and over again, where they make excuses about the matchmaking, dude, where they're like, "Oh, it's not as simple as you think to fix the matchmaking." It's like, I don't care. $1 billion game, figure it out. League of
Exactly.
Legends figured it out. Dota 2 figured it out. Why can't you figure it out? You know,
Yep.
I don't get it. $1 billion game, $1 billion game. Like, you have
And
the fucking money. We have the technology. Figure it out.
yeah,
I don't want to hear
and that's
excuses.
that was gonna be my last point. Like, I know people like to say like, well, developers work really hard and everything, and it's like, yes, they do, but maybe they don't have the manpower. And it's like, bro, $1 billion. Like, we have proof now. EA said, wow, this game get us like $1.5 billion this year or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, this game is $1 billion game. There should be no reason why it's still getting treated like an indie developer game.
Yeah. Right.
It shouldn't be no reason
Yeah.
for
Don't tell
that.
me you don't have enough manpower. And honestly, yeah, developers work really hard. They're not the problem. It's the fucking
Ex-
leadership. The leadership
Yeah.
needs to make the decision to care about this stuff. And they don't consistently. They haven't. Like, I almost wonder if they even have a team that is designed to enhance the current game experience, not like make new content and work on new
Mhm.
features. Like, do they even have a team for that?
Yeah,
I
they
doubt it.
do. I mean, I think they do, but I think that team's small.
It doesn't feel like it,
The
man.
way they talk about it, I think that team's small, or
Yeah.
they're like their opinions get shot down or whatever. Because you know why I say like they will fix shit. Oh, you remember those skin glitches that was like giving out free skins and heirlooms?
Oh,
They
they
fixed
fixed
that
that
shit
in 2
in
seconds.
like
They took the
in
game
two
down to fix
seconds.
that.
Yeah, like so we know they're
Fucking
paying
panic,
attention.
dude. Like, absolutely. No, that
So
is my point. When it's something that affects their bottom line, they figure it out lickety split. We've seen that behavior before. So that's my point. Not only is the game $1 billion game, we know they're competent enough to fix real problems, but they don't fix the ones that we care about. They fix the ones that their fucking bottom line that affect their bottom line. That's what they fix. And you know what? That's the thing. Once all the players started leaving the game and moving on to other games and their player counts decreased, oh, it was a totally different tune. All of a sudden, whoa, wall running might be coming in fucking 8 seasons, and oh shit, we're looking into matchmaking and we're gonna get rid of arenas and put in fucking control full time, even though people have been asking for that for 3 seasons. Like, it's like, that's my point, and that's the reason I don't, like, even if they fix shit in the next 2 months, I'm not going back to the game. They I like they're like, to me, it's almost like I'm like putting them on timeout,
yeah,
because yeah, they can fix whatever the fuck they want to fix. They can make this game. They can fix every issue I have. But why did it take until the community quit the game for you to fix it? That's an attitude problem at the leadership level, and I'm not supporting it. Like, I'm not fucking supporting it, because you don't care about me. You don't care about my experience. You don't care about any of your players' experience. You care about that insofar as we make you $1 billion a year. That's what you care about. So fuck
yep.
that.
No, I
I'm
totally
playing
agree.
other shit. Fuck that. And you know
Uh,
what? I'm fucking happy we're doing it, because I am thoroughly enjoying these other games that we're playing. Like,
Yeah, and I
being
think
totally honest.
and outside our friend group, I just feel like a lot of other people are like, man, I could have been playing this the entire time, and that's the worst thing you can get for players.
Yeah.
Like, to think I could have been playing this the
No, I
entire
moved
time.
on. I've moved on. I know, like, Jet wants to play, and Snakes is like asking tentatively, anybody want to play Apex? And I know you like re-downloaded it, but I've moved on. Like, I still have it installed, but I've moved on. Like, mentally, I'm elsewhere. Like, I'm playing other games. And the next game we're gonna talk about, League of Legends, I'm in on that right now. Like, I'm
Yeah,
enjoying the hell out of that. So
yeah. Let's talk about that. Like,
yeah,
I'm
let's talk good
actually
shit. Yeah.
I'm actually had a whole. This is a side of the game that I never experienced before.
Hmm.
Playing it with friends,
Yeah.
and it is fun as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I was
I've
I
never
was a
played a mobile like
solo
this
league
either, dude.
player for the last 4 or 5 years of my league career life. Um, ever since I started playing league. Even when I played it like way back in the day, I tried to play it and I was just like, I just don't get this shit, and I stopped I stopped playing it.
Mhm.
Uh, but like, yeah, playing it with friends is just like, and then I had another group of friends that I was playing it with as well, and I enjoyed playing it with them. But yeah, playing it with my main group of friends, it was just like it was super enjoyable. It's super enjoyable. And it's super enjoyable just watching y'all grow and learn how to play the game again and getting back into the groove and stuff. And
Mhm.
I don't know. And then for me, it's a whole new experience because I'm playing uh support and I actually love it. Like I don't know. It's just
Yeah, no, you're natural at that, dude.
I don't know.
Like, no, I
It's
I
just
like,
fun.
dude, I no, I mean, like, when you and I are partnering bot lane, like, when's the last time we, like, lost the lane? Like, really, though. You know,
I think the only
like,
time we
hard
lost,
loss. Like, the one I guess
yeah.
it's the one yesterday that happened with but that's because I was playing a character I don't play. Like, I was playing Jhin. I'm trying to learn Jhin, and I
Well,
got I got dominated. But, um,
yeah.
I don't even think you were in the lane, though. I was playing I think I was laning with a rando, wasn't I?
No, I was playing Senna in one game,
Oh,
and
that was that game. That was that
we
game.
got
Yeah, where
countered hard in that
Kog'Maw
game.
destroyed the
Yeah.
shit, the fucking crack out
So
of us.
yeah, that is my biggest takeaway from the game. And this is the ebb and flow with all like Dota or MOBAs and stuff like that. It's just the meta is just so fucking punishing. Like this meta is really punishing. A lot of
Mhm.
people think it's easier, but um, I don't know. It's just a different meta. It's like a tank meta, but then it's a weird like certain characters just get weird power spikes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that Kog'Maw dude was fucking chunking us like within 10
yeah,
minutes of the game. Like, and I'm just trying to fight him as Jin, and I'm like tickling him, you know? And
yeah,
meanwhile, I've done like 25% of his health and he's killed me. You know, it's like, what the fuck, dude? You know?
yeah. It was
So,
it was it's that was a very punishing lane, and some matches are very punishing, and I can see why newer players can get turned off. I also think the problem with League of Legends, they need to stop making legends,
yes,
and
we
just
were
focus
talking about
on,
this. Yeah.
yeah, and just focus on either balancing or making the game great, making the game better than what it is. I don't think the game needs new legends. Um, it's to the point now where certain legends come out, and a lot of people really aren't playing those new legends. Like Kasante just came out like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I barely see
I
him
don't
top
think
lane
we've ever
anymore.
seen him.
Yeah, and it is
No. Yeah,
so
no, I
that to
think
me just means like you don't need these characters as much as you think you need them. I think maybe they should focus on skins and everything of that nature.
enhancing the
Um,
game, balancing the game, maybe a new mode
exactly,
here or there.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Um,
But yeah,
that's just
we
my
we
opinion.
talked about we were talking about though because we were talking about this with the group is I mentioned the idea of how they have the free legend rotation. Well, why don't you just have a playable legend rotation? Like you instead of adding new characters, like because we were talking about the game, they almost need to reduce the number of legends in the game. There's just too many.
Yeah,
And the idea of like, dude, just make it like there's only 100 a season that you can play. You know, and I don't even know how many there are at this point, like what 175 or some crazy shit. But I know that would piss some of the community off, and that would be risky. But I don't. I just think for the health of the game, dude, it would probably be better because, as somebody coming back to the game who played League before and is very familiar with MOBAs, I am a super experienced MOBA player. Coming back to this game though, dude, it is fucking jarring as hell how many characters
hmm
there are, and some of these characters that get picked and I have no fucking clue what they do. And playing against them doesn't teach you that unless you're in the lane with them. When you're in team fights, it's very difficult to see what people are doing.
yeah,
Like keep track of that, because you're trying to keep track of yourself and make sure you're doing the right shit. So it's like I I just I just think they've gone overboard with the characters in a really bad way. And I don't know. I don't know if they have to do anything about it. Maybe they don't, but I think you're right though. I think the idea of just constantly making new characters, like there is a point where you have enough. And I think League has reached that point like a long time ago, but they just keep making new ones. So, I don't know.
yeah. I think, yeah, I just think the characters need to slow down. Maybe release one character a year instead of. I think they had a pipeline of like 4 characters a year, two or
Yeah.
maybe 3 to 4 characters a year. I think one character a year is okay, and even then, I'm like, that's too much because we already have like 175 characters or whatever the fuck. So it's like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, just focus on the characters that we do have and everything. But besides that, I think it's still a very solid
162
game.
is how many?
162.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's still too many.
That's way too many.
I think League is still a very solid game. Um, there's a reason why it's been strong for 12 years. Like coming from like Apex and everything like that, like it's a quality like Dota and League have a quality that a lot of people won't understand. Um, that meets expectations. Um, and yeah, it's just an experience, and
Mhm.
I feel bad for people. Like even when we go to play other games, I actually do like the other games that we play. Like I liked what was it? Paragon. I like Paragon. Um, but like they need to learn if they want to continue that franchise and everything. They have to learn the ways of like of League of Legends and Dota. Like those are successful MOBAs for a reason. There's a reason why Heroes of the Storm failed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, like Paragon, for instance, right? Like the fact that you don't pick your role before you queue and you just have to you have to like grab bag it first come first serve, pick it when the
yeah,
game launches. Like that is terrible.
yeah,
Like atrociously terrible. Like you are fucking people with bad computers so hard, you know?
yep,
Like they're going to get stuck with a role that they don't want to play all the time, you know?
yep. I agree.
And that is that's terrible. So anyways, back to League though. Like I don't know. I just like in terms of the joy part of it, like I am really though, as much as we were talking about negatives in this game's bloated and whatnot, the core game though, I am having a lot of fun with it now. I'm into it. I know the items now. I'm starting to know the items. I'm trying to learn different roles and learn some of the items for those roles and whatnot. But I I don't know. It's just nice to be able to play a MOBA because I think a couple years ago or last year even I kind of felt like man, am I just like too old for this shit now? Like, am I not good enough at this kind? Like, am I not good enough to be good at this kind of game anymore? Like, that's kind of what last year did to me, where I was like,
Yeah, it was just. I think it was just a bad timing for all of us. We weren't in the mindset to play the game.
yeah. We were
But
kind of
now that we
forcing it, and I don't think I was like really dedicating it myself to it. And whereas now
well,
I'm like, I'm
I think
really
the problem
trying to
was
learn.
Apex, man. I
Yeah,
really think the problem was Apex. Like
that's
we
true.
all were still focused on Apex.
Yeah. No, you're
And
totally
then
right.
once we
Um,
broke that focus, it was like there's League of Legends right there. There's
yeah,
Dota
because
right there.
I had that I had that bad game yesterday as Jin, but then the next couple games I just went back to Varus and especially that last game, like dude, that last game I was in the fucking zone
Yes,
and
sir. Got a quadra kill.
it felt so good to play that match and just my confidence was like through the roof. I killed like 4 people with arrows as they're running away into the fog. Like I did that like multiple times and they were probably the enemy team was probably like fucking fuck this guy, man. I thought I got away, you know? But dude, it like no, I just was like I was in the fucking zone, you know? And it's good to know that I can still do that, in a game, and yeah, I don't know. It's just fun. Like I'm just having
Yeah,
fun. I'm having fun playing with you guys. Like we're playing in different configurations too. Where Jet's like supporting me sometimes, you're supporting me sometimes, Andy's supporting me sometimes. I really want to try to start learning top to maybe change our roles around a little bit more too.
yeah,
Kind of change things up because I definitely think top is a role that I will be very good at once I can learn it and learn the items and the counters and stuff. It's just very it's a very unforgiving role though
yeah.
for somebody not knowing it.
Top lane is very very unforgiving role. A lot of people say jungle is, which it is. But top lane, in my opinion, is up there with jungle. Like
Yeah.
as a difficult role, it's very super unforgiving.
Yeah.
You have no help because you're literally not literally on an island, but no one goes top lane. So
Right.
it's just you
Like you're not
and
gonna
the
get
other player.
ganked, and if you are getting ganked, then like man, you're probably doing something right. Um
Exactly.
yeah, no, top lane's an island, and I think the thing is it's a seesaw, right? It's like a pendulum, but if you let your opponent get too big of a lead on you, you're never going to be able to kill them.
Yeah.
And at
Yep.
that point they're just free farming and you're fucked.
Yep.
So it's definitely a brutal lane, but I want to learn it for sure, and there's some characters in that lane that I definitely want to play. And I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. I just, bot lane at this point, I think I'm going to start playing characters I don't play.
Mhm.
I'm obviously I'm gonna keep maining Varus, of course, but I want to learn. I think I want to learn like Caitlyn or Vayne, some of these other
Okay.
characters, and
Yeah.
try out some different play styles with it. Some of the characters, frankly, that I'm going up against at playing Varus, it's just I just think at this point, like Varus is like so comfy for me, dude. Like I like yesterday, dude. The we were playing with the Soraka in lane, and we were getting pushed like hard. We were on tower like the entire laning phase. Like the opposing side was just pushing us constantly because I think they had a Heimerdinger that game
Yeah.
in lane, and she's like pinging you, like asking for help. We need assistance. We need assistance, and I'm just sitting there like I'm just chilling, bro. Like I have more CS than the opposing ADC, and I'm the one under my tower. Like I was fine. It's like like that character. I just dude, it's he's so comfy at this point. I know how to get CS with him really easily. I just his auto attack is so comfortable for me. The animation on it, like I know the timing of it almost like perfectly. I'm like barely missing CS on him at a lot of the time. So it's really when we get a lane where we're like getting poked hard or the jungle's constantly ganking us. That's like the only time where we really have issues.
Yeah.
Um, but even then, like if the jungle's not showing up, and even when the jungle is showing up, dude, there's times where we're like winning 2v3s. It's like we're just like outplaying the people.
Yeah.
So it's been good. I'm having a lot of fun. I think support is the third role I think I would play. Um,
Mhm.
if I were to play a third role, so I may dabble in that too at some point. But
Okay.
um, that feels like a hard role to be honest. So
So it's not as hard as a lot of people say it is, but it's fun.
no, not hard. I played support a lot in Dota, so I understand what you're supposed to do as a support. It's just the execution of it. I think support is actually more intense of a role than most of the other roles,
Mhm.
because you are the vision person. You're the one that needs to be warding everywhere, dewarding the enemy wards. You need to know the map really well, and you need to know where to be at any specific time because you're the one that helps the jungler take the fucking dragon. Like there's just a lot of mechanics to support that I think like support is deceptively complicated.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. It is.
so it's yeah, I just think in league I need to get more familiar with the game
Yeah, I have
before
a
I start
greater
jumping in that.
appreciation
But
for the role now that I play it a lot, and it is a deceptively like you said, complicated role. So
absolutely. That's why like dude, like if an ADC's like talking shit to everyone else in the game, it's like, bro, shut up. You have the easiest role in the game. Like you sit in lane and you CS. Like that's your role. Like it's not complicated. So yeah. Uh, you know, sports are great. But all right,
all right.
we're almost at 2 hours, Macho. We gotta keep going here. So
All right.
out of the multiplayer stuff, I think you have 5 left. Yeah, you wanna go with the next one?
So I played Astro Chain. I really enjoyed this game. This is a Platinum Games game. Not too much to say about it. It was just a really enjoyable game. Too bad it was stuck on the Switch. I really think the frame rate issue on the Switch is holding the game back. If this was on any other console, this will easily be a lot of people's top, 5 action games. Um, the Switch is just holding it back, unfortunately. But that's all I have for that one.
Okay.
Um,
I'll go to my next one. Actually, why don't we do God of War next? I don't like. There's not much to say here. We just did a spoiler cast on this game, so if you
yeah,
guys want our
yeah,
full thoughts there, you can get them there. Just to kind of say something though, this game is really good. I
yep,
don't think it's as good as 2018, but it's like not. It's not like it's drastically worse or anything like that. It's just
yeah,
it's just a little bloated. There's a little bit too much game here, but they were clearly trying to shove 2 games into one because they didn't want to make a trilogy. So it's
yeah.
it's still a great game. It's got a great story, great characters. The combat is really good overall, and it's a very good game. So
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say too. I can understand if it's someone's game of the year.
yeah,
It's a
same.
strong contender for me. But yeah,
Well, somebody
everything
was
Justin
saying
said.
this um, was like if you've never played a video game before and God of War Ragnarok is the first game you've ever played, your mind would be fucking blown. Like
Yeah,
like it's just we've played so many games, dude. We've seen so much shit. It's like it's an incredible game. It's just you know we're a little jaded, so
yeah, yeah. It is. for like normal or like if you're not in the hobby like that, I can see why you can make this your 10 out of 10 because it's like it's a really great game. So yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, all right.
What's your next one?
Oh, my next one is I do Crisis Core.
Okay.
So Crisis Core, still kind of I love the additions they made to the game. So it's almost like a remake. I will say for all intents and purposes, it is a remake. A lot of the core aspects of what Crisis Core is from the PSP version is still there. But they changed the way like the combat works a little bit as far as like how your skills work. Your skills used to be all on one bar with with your items. So you
Mm.
had to like press the left like the D-pad to go over to your skills and everything like that, and even attack at the same time. It was weird how it worked on the PSP.
Mhm.
But they changed it to where it works like the almost identical to Final Fantasy VII remake. But instead, like you can have all your skills onto a certain button. So like you press like R1 and then it flips over to like triangle, square, circle, and then you press R2 and then it has your second group there as well. So I think that's really cool. Uh I the story is still like Final Fantasy ish. Um
Mhm.
Final Fantasy never really had a deep story to me. None of the Final Fantasies really did. I just think it's one of those games where it looks like it's deep. It's more deep than what it is. Like it's not that deep, bro. It's but everyone's like, oh, this game is deep, and it's not that super deep in my opinion. Um, Story is what it is. I feel like personally, uh, I didn't realize this until this game. The voice actor really makes the character.
Oh yeah.
It gets better the second half of the game. He does a lot better, but the first half of the game, holy shit, it's just like, bro, this is not Zach. Um,
Yeah.
so I do recommend a lot of people play in Japanese because even though I played in English, I can understand why people aren't into it. Because of Zach. Because it actually changes his whole demeanor, like the way that the voice is delivered and everything. And if you don't know what I mean, you can watch plenty of YouTube videos of the original Crisis Core acting. They do side by sides and everything, and the tone of the scene changes with the actors. It's insane. So that's
Mhm.
my biggest takeaway from the game. But even still, all that, the end of the game still made me tear up. I was still like upset what happened at the end of the game. And I actually had a newfound respect for Cloud in this game because I didn't know he did some stuff. I forgot that he did some stuff in this game.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think it's a really good game, like a solid like 7 or 8 out of 10. I really don't like the decision to change the voice actors, but it is what it is. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah, and if you haven't, oh, also one thing you got to remember going into this game that it is a PSP game.
Yeah.
So it's funny going from the PSP animations because you can tell it was a PSP game. So like they'll just be like walking, it was just very PSP ish, and then you go into the action mode or the action combat mode, and it's like very PS5 ish and
Yeah.
modern combat and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do tell people playing the game, remember it's a PSP game at its core, and they still treat it like that as well. So there are certain animations and talk animations and everything like that. You're like, why is it moving like this? It plays like an old school game outside of combat, and that's it is what it is. Like that's how everything was set up. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind playing the game. But for me, I enjoyed it. I thought this was gonna be my game of the year, but a lot that didn't happen. So yeah, but it's still a good game. I still give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, my next game that I want to talk about, I literally forgot about this game until I was looking through our documents to see what I played this year, and that's Lost Ark. I can't believe I forgot this because dude, I played this game for like 400 hours. Like me and Jeff were like fucking dude, total degenerate, obsessed at the beginning of this year. So, um, Lost Ark was fun while we played it. This game I think is really solid for what it is. Like it is a really good game to play through, and I think it feels good to play, and the mechanics of the boss fights are really good, like really strong overall. Um, I think where the game fell off for me is the community. Is this game is a Ion like community where they expect everybody who plays it to be a god and know everything and come into fights like you need to have watched 30 minutes of YouTube videos before your first attempt. You know, it's like You can't just like play the game with these people. So that's kind of what drove me away ultimately from the game, which is funny because I didn't do a lot of content in groups. I honestly did a lot of shit on my own, as much as I could. And me and Jet barely fucking played together, which is hilarious also. But I don't know. I may go back to this game at some point, but it became a thing where I was like putting too much time into it, you know. I played this obsessively, I think, for like 3 months straight and didn't really play like anything else. This was a period of time where I was trying to play Horizon and I fell off it and played Lost Ark, and I just like I didn't play Horizon again until I stopped playing Lost Ark.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those situations for me. So I may go back and check it out because I'll be honest, I found the PvP in this game to be really fucking fun, actually, and I
Mhm.
was actually pretty good at it. Honestly, I was like pretty decent at it. So
Yeah, I
it
remember
was
seeing you play it. Yeah.
yeah, and it was a fun time, dude. It was cool. It was a really enjoyable thing. I think the thing is eventually you get frustrated with it because it becomes a mode about sniping kills in the free for all mode because it's like a I
Yeah.
think it's a 6 player free for all or 8 player free for all. And it literally just becomes about timing about stealing kills. Like you're not really trying to fight people straight up or 1v1. You're waiting for somebody to get low and then you go over and like you fucking just take the kill, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of the mode, and that gets a little frustrating after a while because it doesn't feel like you're skillfully outplaying people necessarily. A lot of that's just luck and positioning. So yeah, but overall, fun game. Definitely, if you're looking for something to take up a lot of time, this game is it, man. It's got fucking hundreds of hours of content for you. So check it out if that's what you're looking for. But all right, Montreal, what's your next game?
So I almost forgot about this game as well, even though it just came out. Call of Duty 2, Modern Warfare 2.
Yep.
Really enjoyed this game. Surprisingly, I enjoyed the multiplayer. I enjoy. Only thing I really didn't enjoy, and this is because I'm kind of like a stickler for battle royales. I don't like what they do with their battle royales. Sometimes you pick up guns with attachments. You don't just pick up the base gun and then find attachments.
Mm, mhm.
They come with attachments. So I really don't like that aspect, and that does change the game a lot for me. And then like you can do missions while you're on the field,
Yeah.
and you can go to a box and you can plot you can buy your loadout, or whatever that you can play in the other multiplayer modes.
Mm.
So I just don't really feel like it's a BR. I feel like it's just Call of Duty with 100 players and whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's my only gripe with that mode. But I love DMZ mode. That's like the Escape from Tarkov type mode. Um, I like like the regular arena style multiplayer games like the team death matches, prisoner escape or prisoner rescue rather, search and destroy in those modes. I love playing it with Chris or Snakes rather. Um, and then my other friend, we be playing it sometime. It seems like a sweaty game on the surface, but I actually just be having a laid back time playing the game. Um, and then I also like how the mics, a lot of people still have their mics turned on. So like when you kill somebody, you can
Proximity
hear them.
chat, yeah.
Yeah, proximity chat is so fucking funny. So I like that. It's
Yeah.
just really toxic sometimes, and I fucking love it. It reminds me of like the old Call of Duties when I used to play on Xbox. Um, the single player, like really good. It's not as good as the first one as far as uh I don't know how to describe it. The first one you're going to a lot of different locales and things of that nature. This one was more condensed. It was more I don't know. Have you ever watched some of those espionage or tactical shows like um Terminal List on Amazon or like Jack
Mm.
Ryan on
Yeah,
Amazon and
Jack
everything like
Ryan,
that?
yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen, yeah.
So it's more like missions like that, right? They're really small in scope or they're really small and focused, but you're like a tactical team and everything like that. They really honed in on that. There's rarely a moment where you're like in a big large scale battle like you used to be in the old Call of Duties or big set pieces and everything like that. It's all focused, and I really actually like that. It was a different approach. I compared it to like, yeah, if this was like an Amazon series or something like that, TV series or Netflix TV series, like this would be like what. That's why I felt like I was playing each level felt like a different episode, and it was really cool. Some of the twists and turns they do and everything, and the character development was really good in this game. Like, yeah, actual character development in the campaigns, like really good. Um, some of the carryovers from the first game, and I don't know, it was just it's a fun experience. Like, if someone told me this was their game of the year, I wouldn't fight it at all because it's a really fun game. Like, I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed this game. They really tried with this game, you can tell, and it wasn't like a cash grab. I mean, it is a cash grab, I guess, but the money showed. They put their money where their mouth was with this one, as they did with the first Modern Warfare. It wasn't a Vanguard or Call of Duty World War II or anything like that. This was like
Yeah.
an actual, they tried and they succeeded. So I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. My next game is Horizon Forbidden West. So, this game was weird. Like I said, I got bisected by Lost Ark. I started playing it in February and then fell off it really quick, probably within about 10 hours. And I didn't come back to it, I don't think, until May, probably. It was almost 3 full months before I like picked this game back up and started playing it. But once I did, I got into it really quick. This game is really, I think this is a cool evolution of the Horizon formula. I think though what I'm concerned about now, having the whole year behind us, is just what they're going to do with this franchise. Is I think they're going to oversaturate it. That seems really clear at this point because we've got Call of the Mountain coming out for VR. Then we have Horizon 3 probably in development. Then there's that rumored Horizon MMO also. And dude, it's just too much Horizon. I don't think this franchise is strong enough for all that. But this game, though, in a vacuum, let's take this game in a vacuum, I think is a really strong game. It was really cool the way they kind of almost had you build a team a la Mass Effect 2 style
Mm,
in this game. And you start recruiting people, and they're joining your, like, they go to your base or whatever, like your base of operations. And then between missions, you'll go back and they'll have new conversation that you can have with them, or you talk to them and learn more about them, or they'll have like a almost like a loyalty quest basically for you at some point in the game that you can go do. And I thought it was a really cool evolution of the franchise. Now, that is to say though that this is another example of a game being too big. This game is fucking massive, and it doesn't need to be. And I think Sony keeps learning the wrong lessons from their games,
yeah.
unfortunately, because they just seem to think bigger is better, and it's starting to get on my nerves. And this game was like the biggest example of it at this point, where this game's like 100 hours, of content, probably more, if you want to like full complete it. And it's just too much, dude. Like it's too much. Because yeah, I was like, when I was playing the game, I was like, man, maybe I'll platinum this game. And I think I did platinum it, but man, dude, I was struggling at the end. Like, I was like, dude, I
Yeah.
need to just get this over with. Like, I am so fucking done with this game right now. And I think that's a bad feeling for a game to leave you with. Like,
Yeah.
I want a game, like, you want to finish a game and be sad and be like, man, I wish I had more.
Yeah.
That is kind of the feeling you want to leave your players with, and I just don't think Horizon does that, anymore. And I think the other issue is the story in this game, while strong for like 80% of it, falls off hard at the last 20%. I think the end of this game is significantly like worse in terms of its story quality than the rest of the game. And that
Mhm.
sucks because there is a really nice build up in this game, and then the final act is terrible in my opinion. Like the villains just like they're like they should have been way more threatening than they were. And it was just kind of frustrating the way it ended for me. I didn't feel I didn't I think the threads that they cut off at the end of this game were really frustrating from a story perspective as well. They cut off some things that I think they should have kept alive for future games, especially with one particular character that dies that I think was a humongous mistake to kill him off. And I just, I don't, I think I'm gonna feel that in the next game because it was a character that I was really enjoying, and I really liked them, and then they're just gone. And this isn't a situation, because I'm the kind of person, I like it when stories aren't afraid to kill important characters, but this is one of those situations where this character didn't get to serve out, like, their arc didn't finish. They got cut off
Mm,
in the middle of their arc,
okay.
and it just wasn't satisfying. And I think uh, there were other characters they could have killed that I think would have had the same impact, but maybe would have been more appropriate, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, I think that was kind of another piece that frustrated me a little bit. But overall, I think in like just this game, um, it's a really strong game. Like the combat is good. It's solid enough. It is not amazing, but it gets the job done. It's better than the first game, in my opinion, in that regard. For sure, you have a lot more options at your disposal. Your character progression with Aloy is better. The itemization is also better in this game, so it does feel a little bit more like an RPG than the first one. It is still not like it's still pretty shallow, but it's deeper than it was, which I think is an improvement. So that which is a good thing. And then the world itself, that's the one thing about this game that they definitely knock out of the park is the world design in this game is fucking phenomenal. Their like ability to make a world that looks interesting, that's really interesting to explore is dude, they're up there with the some of the best studios out there with this stuff. Like the coast, the San Francisco coast is fucking crazy. It's so awesome the way they made it and the way it looks. Like, dude, it's because a lot of the coast that we know of is actually underwater. So, like, the Golden Gate Bridge is on an island off the coast, and it's just like really cool the way they designed it and the way it kind of comes together. So, but in terms of the lore, though, there's some missions in this game that are really fucking cool that expand this game's lore, this world's lore in such really fucking cool ways. And there's some really interesting concepts with characters, especially the villains. That as much as I'm disappointed with how it ended, there's a lot of really cool shit that they get to explore in this game with those people. So it's a very good game. Montreal, what's your last game that you want to talk about today?
So the last game I want to talk about is Valkyrie Elysium. So if you don't know anything about Valkyrie Elysium, I want to say, and I just want to be correct because I played these games as well. I believe these are part of the White Knight Chronicles series. I believe, right? Maybe
Well,
I'm wrong
Valkyrie
about that.
Profile.
Valkyrie Profile. I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I don't White Knight
no, yeah,
Chronicles.
you're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, no,
Valkyrie
I don't think
Profile.
it has anything to do with White Knight Chronicles.
Yeah, right. I always get those two games confused.
Yeah.
But I actually did play Valkyrie Profile as well. Um, and it was a traditional RPG, JRPG. It was more fast paced at the time when it came out. I remember it. It reminded me. It was a contender for like Golden Sun. I don't know if y'all remember that game. But that's kind of what Valkyrie Profile reminded me of when I played the game.
hmm
Um, and even Valkyrie Profile 2, that came on the PS2 and everything like that nature, it was way more fast paced. Uh, they did a really good job. It kind of mixed up uh the Tales style of combat with the original Golden Sun slash Valkyrie Profile style of combat. Really fast paced. So Valkyrie Elysium came out, they decided to go all action, which is totally fine for me. I love action games. I don't mind the switch up at all. The problem comes into play where this game is fucking terrible. This game was one of the biggest
Yeah.
disappointments I've this game was so bad, y'all. I took the game back. I didn't even finish the game because
hmm
it's just so bad. It's a bad action game. Um, like it has RPG elements in it. So people are trying to like make that excuse why it's like that. I just don't think it's a good game. Um, it- you can tell they want it to be a free flowing action game, almost like Near Automata. Or
hmm
near replicant, but it's just it's really, and then you can tell this was like a small team who worked on this. This was like throwaway for Square. I feel bad for that team. I feel like they didn't get the support they needed because there's no way in hell someone was like, yeah, let's release this. Like
hmm
I just don't understand it. It was the combat that turned me off. Like I can get past the one dimensional main character that you get, um, the lines, and it was just a really it just the combat to me didn't have any depth. It was like literally like, oh, if they're ice, then you use fire moves, and that's it. Whoa, and it's like okay, Montrell, but Kingdom Hearts does that as well. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts is fucking fun. Like I don't know what to tell y'all. Like Kingdom Hearts is a way deeper combat system. Like this shit's worse than Kingdom Hearts one combat. Like it's
Yeah.
fucking terrible, yo.
Jesus, that's bad.
Um, like I didn't like it, and maybe I'm too hard on it. Like if you played it, Justin, maybe you'll be a little bit less harsh on it than me. But as far as like combat wise, it just was not there for me. Compared to what I thought I saw on YouTube and everything. So, oh man, I can do like juggling combos, and you can do those combos. It's just it feels like a 360 or PS3 era game that came out this era. I feel like it was an era too late. It should have came out last era.
Mhm.
That's the best way I can describe it to y'all. I'm not in the interest of nostalgia anymore. So it's like when old games feel old or when old games play old, I call that shit out. And this game was like a last generation game, or a generation before that game rather. Um, it just felt very 360 ish. I was getting strong 2010 vibes from it, strong PS3 vibes from it, strong Xbox 360 vibes from it. If it came out in that time period, would have been a phenomenal game. Um, but we move past that now. Action RPG games have moved past that now.
Mhm.
There is no excuse for this game to be released the way it was released. Um, Huge disappointment, wasting my $50. I took that $50 and bought Modern Warfare, put half of it towards Modern Warfare 2 and Bayonetta. Um,
Yeah.
so your sacrifice was worth it, Valkyrie, at least in my opinion. Apparently, I am a ghost on this. As far I am on an island by myself for this. Some people don't like this game, but they don't like it for the other reasons. They don't like it for the story and the character
Mm.
development and all that shit like that. I can
Yeah.
give two fucks about that shit. No one talks about the combat. When they do talk about the combat, it's like, oh, the combat's fine. I think it's really, the action elements work out really well. It's not super deep, and it's like,
Yeah.
bro,
Yeah.
y'all are,
No, that's weird because yeah, I think it's really difficult to put an action game out at this point in this modern age because we've just had so many like fucking bangers
yeah,
in the genre. Like I don't know what you're just dude like Kingdom Hearts 1 level like what that's bad, dude. That's like fucking really bad, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, no, I don't know. It's unfortunate, but I didn't expect much out of this game when they first showed it. I was like, man, what are people getting excited about? This looks like fucking ass, dude. Like it looks like a
yeah,
budget ass game, you know?
yeah.
And
Um,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, the sentiment around I think it's going to get a part 2. I will play part 2. If it does get a sequel, hopefully they can fix the action elements of the game or the
Yeah.
combat in general. Cuz a lot of people actually did buy this game. For me though, they got my money and they don't get their money. It doesn't take away from their bottom line if you return the game. So they got their money from me. Um,
Yeah.
I supported the game. I just hope it gets better next. If they do have a sequel, it gets better the next sequel because
Mhm.
um, this is the part where I don't like about JRPG fans because they don't know what combat is. Um, you know,
Yeah.
and I remember we had this conversation a long time ago as well. How JRPG fans don't really know action combat. Um, I want to say I forgot what game it was, but it showed in this game as
Well,
well.
Tails.
Tails, yeah, that's a good
Yeah, no,
game. Good
Tails.
example. Uh, like they just don't know really good
Like
combat.
Tails combat, like um like most of these games is not good.
No, you're right.
It's really not good. Like I'm gonna be frank here. Star Ocean has long shat on Tails in terms of his combat. Like long shat on it. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, bro, you know what it reminded me of? It's a shittier version of Final Fantasy 15's combat.
Mm, interesting. Yeah, not bad.
Way shittier version. It's like if Final Fantasy 15's combat was like a alpha. This was the alpha for it.
Yeah.
Um, it just wasn't good, man. I wish I could really describe it to you. And I know people are gonna play the game, and maybe if you play it one time, you be like, "I'm not sure the combat was not that good." I mean, the combat wasn't that bad, and I really feel like, and that's because I'm the reason I'm second guessing myself on this, y'all, is because I read a lot of comments about this game. Like, I really was like, "Am I tripping? Like, Am I the one who's like, jaded and being a stickler for action games and everything?" And that's why I'm harping on this for so long because it's like maybe I am. Maybe I want after playing the Ferrari of like action games like Sekiro, Devil May Cry all my
Mm-hmm.
life and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I come to this and I'm like, okay, now it's time to drive a regular car again. And it's like, this is what y'all like
Not
this is
even a
what y'all been
regular
doing
car.
down
It's
there.
one that's having like engine issues. One of the tires is a little flat. The trunk doesn't close all the way.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't wish yeah. I mean if you enjoyed the game, I'm glad the series is back. It's just not the way I went. I think they should have kept the traditional, the way it
Mm-hmm.
was back in the day. I think that could have worked really well for this time period. You don't need to go action. Um, but apparently Square thought you did, and they did. So there it is.
All right, fair enough. I did notice you have one more game that I didn't see crossed out, so I'll go and then you can go. So my last game that I'm talking about here is my favorite game this year. Like, period. This is the best game I played. This is the one I enjoyed the most, and that is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. This is from Vanillaware, and this game is kind of like a visual novel almost, but it's you do stuff. It's like kind of almost adventure gamey. There's some stuff where you have to like get items and unlock certain things in the game, but it's not like there aren't multiple endings or anything like that. Like it plays out the way it plays out. It's just you can play things out of order. The story is told out of order. So you can play at certain points in the game, you can play characters in different orders from other players, right? Like so you'll have all 13 characters available to you, and some of them will have 44% of their story done, and some will have 66% of their story done, and you choose which one of those you want to continue. But this game is Oh man, dude, I fucking adore this game. Like adore it. It is like it's one of my favorite games that I've ever played. Not just this year. Like it's in that echelon. Like I'm glad I got one of these this year cuz man, they don't come often. But this was like a week or two where I was in absolute bliss, like just enjoying every fucking second of this game. So it is like a it is like a fucking anime. It's totally an anime JRPG kind of game, but dude, it's just so good. Like it's well told. The story is well told. Most of it pretty much makes total sense within the context of the game. It does get crazy. Like the fucking ratcheting of shit is insane at the end of the game. Like just the way like what you learn the true like what the truth of this game is fucking pretty crazy actually at the end of the game. But it's really fun. I think the thing is about it is that it's really fun to try to piece it all together and figure out what is actually going on, and you might figure one thing out and then the game will throw a total curveball at you, and oh well, that thing that you got right, like you knew you were right about, well, there's this other thing also, like, wrapped into that you had no idea about, and it's like some fucking crazy shit. So I like it, dude. If you're the kind of person that's into like a really good story, a really well told story, and a really interesting kind of mystery, um this game is definitely it. It's a very relaxing game to play. It is not an intensive gameplay game. There are combat sections where you have to. It's kind of like almost like an RTS where you have to kind of control units and kill a bunch of like giant enemy hordes of monsters. But they are pretty short overall. Those segments, it takes 5 or 10 minutes at most. I think it's usually like 5 minutes to complete one of those battles. And there's the majority of your gameplay is going to be like doing the storyline, like trying to get through the story. So but yeah, it's a really good game. The voice acting almost all around is fucking excellent too, for the most part. I love all the characters in this game. Like it's just there's so many there's so many standout characters for me, like Natsuno or Juro Karabe. There's just so many good ones. Like I love most of them for the most part. Um, so it's a great game. I highly recommend it. It's actually, I think it was on sale today for $35 or something somewhere. That Wario64 tweeted it out. So uh, get this game, play this game. If you like story, you will enjoy it. So
All
Montreal,
right.
what's your last game?
I thought I crossed everything out. I know I deleted one. Maybe it didn't update on your side.
Stranger in Paradise, man. That's
Oh,
what I
Stranger
still
in
see on
Paradise.
there.
Okay, yeah, that one, yeah. So Stranger in Paradise. I enjoyed this game for what it was. It's a
Yeah.
good. It's not a blow me away game. But I enjoyed the single player experience. I enjoyed the story, as nonsensical as it was. Uh, I don't know. It was just a really fun game to play. Uh, it was like a Neo 2.5. Um, in my opinion. Uh, some of the classes really work out. Some of the classes don't work out. I don't know. It's not hard with multiplayer, which is very difficult, which is very disappointing rather.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
with single player, it does hold up its difficulty, especially on the chaos modes. Um, at the time, it just had a really low replay value for me. I
Yeah.
might get back into it because I really did enjoy playing the game. I enjoyed the classes, some of the classes, especially a lot of the melee classes. I enjoyed. Um, I don't know. It was really okay game. I enjoyed Jack. I think he was
Yeah.
a really. I just
Chaos.
yeah, I just really enjoyed a really fun, which is I feel bad for the writers because they wanted the character to be serious, but I just really enjoyed like a fucking character who's trying to be so serious, like an old school character like this, and it's just like you have no place in this current society, but you're here and I love it and I'm glad you're here, and that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I thought it was a cool game. I definitely would pick it if I were anybody who hadn't picked this game up. I'll pick it up on sale, like half off or something like that. It is worth that. I wouldn't pick it up at $60. But yeah, it's still a good fun quality action game from Team Ninja. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
All right. Fair enough. Well, that's our games of the year list for both of us for 2022. Like I said last week, we did our games preview for 2023, and it is looking like it's going to be a pretty strong year overall. We did forget one game, Montreal, and that is Stellar Blade. And I actually regret not mentioning that game last week, so I wanted to bring it up just so you mentioned it. That game looks fucking dope. Otherwise, I think we're good, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
nope, that's it for me.
All right. Well, everybody, if you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at High Trap for the Hokage for Montreal. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and then the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to the Players Take 01 at gmail.com. And that's it for us, guys. We will be back to the normal run of show next week. And we hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next week. Bye.